done finally. Ethan Warren gives him no space. He's in the wall, turn 4, and he's taken out Bruce Steed as well. Oh, big moment there, Kurt Stenberg on his roof.
Big crash in turn 4, that is an unfortunate huge crash.
Very good evening wherever you're watching around the country or indeed the world, and welcome to round 4 of the Automobilista Supercars Championship live from Barbagallo Raceway. It's the first time we've been back here in a couple of years, and my name's Stairs. It's my absolute pleasure to welcome Liam Harrison. I don't know why I used my nickname and your real name, Madbird, to the box. Welcome, Madbird.
Welcome to me, Stez. Yes, we are here at Barbagallo, and we are here for the Wanneroo Raceway is the official name, is it not? And
Perth is the kind of the name of the event, Perth Supernight. So we've got all sorts of ways of referring to this this beautiful racetrack. Another little bullring, similar. Well, I would say similar to Simmons Plains.
It's more
but
complicated.
it's not.
Yeah.
The only real similarity is the sort of lap length.
It's very short, under a minute the laps around here, but I'd say it's a lot more technical than Simmons Plains.
Yeah, a bit of elevation change, quite a bit more than you get in Simmons Plains.
Look at that wiggly.
As they come up the hill there. Just 7 turns. And we're going to turn our attention to the points classification. Heading into this round, currently led there by Dayne Warren on, well, he's the first to break 1,000 points with 1,050 points out of, I believe, an available 1,050 points.
Correct.
He's not been beaten yet. His brother Ethan Warren has been coming in second an awful lot lately, and he finishes, well, he's in second in the championship, ahead of Colin Warwick, who, has to be said, is having a terrific year so far. Defending champion Kurt Stenberg in 4th place. He was active on the weekend, Madbird, at the real-life Supercars event here at Barbagallo. Got a few tips from some real-life Supercars drivers, so let's see how that puts him in terms of his results tonight. Zach Baker in 5th place, and then we've got Hans Brunswick, Benjamin Dahlia in 6th and 7th. Sean Allen, I'm actually surprised to see him that far up, considering we haven't talked about him much this year. And Corey McFarlane in 9th. And you were talking about this guy earlier on, Madbird, in the night before we went on air. Steve Warwick up inside the top 10. Good job from him there.
Yeah, good consistent placings from Steve Warwick and just showing up every round. And you can see there, yeah, he's snuck into the top 10. So very well done to Steve, the father of the soon-to-be father, Colin Warwick. Here we have the team's points classification with Trans-Tasman Racing far and away in the lead by about 340 points. With Kurt Stenberg and Ethan Warren, obviously two very good drivers there, with the Warwick Racing team second in with 1,400 points or thereabouts, AWG Sim Racing in 3rd, ZB Racing in 4th, BRS Coanda Sim Sport in 5th, which is just Dayne Warren. So Dayne Warren is very close to beating both the ZB Racing guys simply by himself.
Yeah, the highest placed car, the highest placed team that is just one car.
Yeah, AAR WRT in 6th, Synergy Sim Racing number 1 in 7th. All Australian Races, AWG Sim Racing 2, which of course used to be Race on Oz, and then the ever-present Maple Leaf Sim Sport car, present in the top 10 just.
That's another single car team, so good to see him in the top 10.
Very good work from
Parrott.
Thank you. I could not remember.
No, you could. You could. I was digging you out of a trap there, and you didn't have to admit that, but you've gone and done it.
You know, Mum always said to be honest.
No.
To admit when you'd bug it up, and
well, you hadn't yet. You were in the process of, but you hadn't yet. So
I feel like we're splitting hairs somewhat.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's split hairs on the racetrack, shall we? And see what we can come up with. We've got. Well, we're looking at Aidan Sykes there on track. Let's see if we can find someone who is circulating around this racetrack.
Looks like daylight there, Stairs. Is the race going to be in daylight?
No, it's a night race, but the practice session's set at day. Well, I'm assuming it. I didn't actually check in their kind of notes that it said specifically that it would be at night, but the name of the event is the Perth Supernight. So
can only assume, unless it's just a cheeky ploy.
A cheeky ploy?
To try to trick Dayne Warren and Ethan Warren into maybe doing a lot of practice at night, and then they rock up and it's day, and they're blinded because they've got ultra clear windscreens and
blinded by the light.
Blinded by the light.
Something about a douche.
Yeah. And then a runner. I didn't know
that was the lyric. I was at a quiz night about 5 years ago, and the lyrics to that song was one of the questions.
Oh, good lord.
And I was there with my team, which were all predominantly my age, which was mid-20s at the time, and I think that we were the average youngest team by about 20 years, and they all bloody knew the answer to it. That was the easy question, apparently.
Oh, as Dayne Warren goes very, very deep at the last corner, which I imagine will not want to be doing that too much because that will be a corner cut. Well, as I say that time has stood. So
yeah, well, we saw people getting away with that in real life on the on that corner. In fact, we saw one person not getting away with it and everyone else getting away with it.
Well, I would describe what we just saw Dayne Warren do as taking the piss. So I would hope that was maybe a fluke, and that won't be happening throughout the race. There is the Tim Hortons Maple Leaf Sim Sport car.
Now, there was a communication over Discord about the pit entry at this racetrack, because there is. We might just stay with Cameron Parrott, and maybe we can go on board with him as we come over turn 6, and we'll plunge down the hill towards the pit lane.
It's so dramatic.
You'll see there's kind of like 2 pit lane entries, but there's one that... So this is the one on the right. You're not meant to use that because you shortcut a significant portion of the racetrack. The pit entry that you are meant to use is this one here on the right-hand side. So you can see how you would have quite an advantage by taking the incorrect pit lane entrance.
Carry a lot more speed through that last corner, that's for sure, if you avoid it. Oh, that looked like he was going straight into the side of Dayne Warren, but managed to pull it up.
Yeah.
Well done to Cameron Parrott.
It's like if you've ever been let loose in a paddock with a motorcycle and a tree, inevitably those 2 items find each other. One single tree, and yes.
I remember a friend of ours, Ziris, had his birthday last year, and it involved bikes in a paddock, and our good friend Mitchell, who I don't know if he's ever ridden a bike before.
He seemed to get the hang of it if he had.
He was fine on it anyway. Meanwhile, Phil, Ziris's brother, Resist, who's been riding a bike for quite a while, was the only person to stack it.
Yeah, but a little bit of confidence is a dangerous thing, Matt.
That's a good point.
That's exactly what happens when you've been riding a motorcycle for a little bit longer than a beginner. But I think that was a particular birthday that I wasn't at, you were at.
That's correct, yeah.
So I'm pretty sure...
It was really good, actually, yeah.
The one that I was...
should not show up to more things.
Oh. The one that I was at...
I was not at.
Mitchell was riding a bike at that one, so he had at least the experience from the previous year. But I just remember that the clutch cable snapped or something while he was riding it. So that was...
not fortunate.
He just sort of had this kind of awkward little fall that was, because the thing was not behaving itself.
Suddenly took itself out of gear. There's the Master Foods Corey McFarlane car.
Some of our viewers who've been with us for a while may well have heard our good friend Bagsy, who commentates over at ASR and of course helps us at the Bathurst 1000 with all of his analytical skills. But I borrowed his motorbike a couple of years ago, and it had kind of a tricky gear peg. I don't actually know what you call them on a motorbike. I probably
Lever?
should, as I have. No, because it's operated with your foot.
Ah.
And I kept always, when I was going from first to second, it would kind of, if you didn't quite clunk it in properly, it would go into neutral.
Ah.
This is like an ag bike designed for an ag bike for the road, basically. Road registered with knobbly tyres on it. And I remember that some Jehovah's Witnesses sort of knocked on the door while I was like suiting up, ready to go out. And I sort of like politely sent them on their way. Not interested, thank you.
Yep. Very good.
And then about 5 minutes later, rode past them on the motorbike and accidentally went into neutral when I was changing up from first and second. And this was quite a loud bike, so you can imagine as I was revving in what I thought was second gear was actually neutral, I probably burst an eardrum or two.
Those poor God-loving people.
Yeah. They thought, oh, well, the world is corrupt with these.
This is why we need Jesus for young hooligans like this on his
I was
bike.
clearly in need of Jesus that day. Yeah.
Cheese and rice. You still have a bike? I feel like...
Oh, I never had one. I always just borrowed his bike.
You got a bike license?
Yeah, I have a license, so I could get one, but getting a house is a priority now.
That's fair enough.
One day, maybe. I don't really like riding on the road. I'd prefer to have a paddock basher.
Yeah,
but
you
need
don't
a
have
paddock.
Yeah, I was going to say. Which, you know, paddocks tend to come with houses, so, you know, there's your series of priorities right there. Get house with paddock, get bike.
Yeah, there's getting a house and there's getting a house with a paddock.
That's very true, yeah.
Which are two things that are separated in.
I've got a Goodreads. Well, I don't have a Goodreads group. I'm in a Goodreads group, and I've been posting updates on my house build over there, and it's mostly international people. And one person, I posted a picture, and it's your normal sort of subdivision, like coffin blocks. Oh, very, very. Oh, I was going to say.
He held it though, although he lost the position.
I was going to say very well done there, but then he did outbreak himself somewhat.
This is Corey McFarlane and Dane Liccardo that we're looking at here.
But
I noticed we've just started this stream and we're just having a chin wag, basically.
Well, you know, we've got to have a good catch up.
That's true.
There's not too much to talk about in practice, so.
Now we've got 15 minutes until qualifying, and so this is rolling over into the official practice session, which will go for the next 15 minutes.
The legit practice.
And then we're going to have a 10-minute qualifying session to determine the grid for race 1, which is a.
I heard something disconnect.
Yeah, something's happened there. Anyway, we'll bring you pictures back as soon as possible, as I think that's just to do with the server resetting. 46 lap race for the first race, 2 compulsory pit stops between laps 1 and 44, and then in race 2 it'll be 1 compulsory pit stop, and that's a 23 lap race.
That'll be a blast. That second one's going to go like the clappers, as they say.
We've also got the commentary cam back, but I think you'll need to swivel that.
G'day, Matt.
Let's just swivel that around so we can see.
Oh, yeah, g'day, mate.
Oh, hang on, let me just...
Oh, yeah, so I've gone to the trouble of... You've got it hidden.
Yes, it's just as the weather was getting cooler, I'd neglected to put it on. And now, this was Kurt Stenberg over the weekend, Matt Bird.
Very good.
Getting some tips from none other than Shane Van Gisbergen on the left-hand side there.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. And I did say to Kurt, if he saw SVG again, to sincerely apologise for the last stream when SVG hopped in the chat, and I said multiple times, that's definitely not SVG for real.
Yeah, you also said, I went back and watched that broadcast, and you had many disparaging remarks to our friends across the ditch in New Zealand.
Oh, yeah. I thought you meant about SVG in particular.
Of which Shane Van Gisbergen is one of.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But I thought you were going to mention that I think he looks like he's been punched in the chin.
Well, you've said that now.
Now, well, yes, but...
I honestly don't see what you're talking about there, but, you know, we'll agree to disagree on that one.
But, I mean, look at the childish glee on Kurt's face.
Can you blame him?
Oh, no.
One thing that I couldn't believe, I mean, I know Shane Van Gisbergen is a tall man, but in that seat, Kurt looks very low.
He looks like a child, yeah.
There was actually another photo from kind of more of a side on, and I was like, he could barely see over the bonnet of that car, and I suppose it's just the way that it's set up for Shane Van Gisbergen.
It's built for a specific person, I suppose, isn't it? So if you're not that person, chances are you're going to look a bit of a fool in it. Like when George Russell had to squeeze into Lewis Hamilton's.
You see how far his head stuck out of the top of that car.
It'd feel like he would not be safe.
Maybe that's the root of Mercedes' problems, is that they've had to compromise on the car, build one car for Lewis and one car for George.
They've got George Russell and a manlet, and they're having to split the difference.
And so it's porpoising.
Yeah.
You know?
That makes sense. Is porpoising really the issue for the Mercedes? They just seem to be... Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I know Ferrari are having major porpoising issues, but they're still bloody quick.
Yeah, but their porpoising seems to stop when they hit the brakes, whereas Mercedes can seem to continue through high-speed corners. So,
that's a shame.
If they can figure it out, then maybe they'll gain some speed, but that's a big if there, because it's probably fundamentally a problem with that car.
Yeah. Oh,
So, practice is underway.
oh no. So Luke Rosella has the COVID.
Oh, so this just in. So this is from the live chat. Luke Rosella informing us that he's got COVID and he's only reduced to a spectator. So very sorry to hear that, Luke. I hope you're not having too much of a severe case of it, and wishing you a speedy recovery.
Absolutely. Lots of water and sleep.
We say as experts who've managed to somehow dodge it to this point.
Well, I feel
Touch
like
wood.
I feel like mine's slightly more impressive, having being stuck in a house with 2 positive cases for 14 days. Somehow,
Yeah, I was stuck in a car with someone for 2 hours isn't quite as much as impressive. But I was still 100% expecting to catch it. And it didn't.
Car is a lot closer quarters, in fairness. So.
Yeah, I was wearing a mask though, but it wasn't. I don't know. Are those surgical masks? For some reason, when I put them on, oh, someone's gone off.
That was dramatic. That looks like it was Brandon Dostal.
Yeah, there he goes. Let's see if
And
we can
he's
catch a replay of that.
Tried to escape back to the pits to hide his shame, but luckily we saw it.
So, luckily for us, perhaps not so much for him, Brandon Dostal, yes, if you get 2 wheels on the grass there, that is over and out, I think.
Manages to avoid the marshal post at least.
Now, you've got to avoid doing that in the race because you end up coming a long way off the racetrack itself. And
you probably skip a marshal post, which...
Oh, and he's out on the grass again on his outlap.
Just getting some grass on the tyres to warm them up. It's a good strategy. Yeah, you can miss a timing point in AMS, which means that it will not count the lap as completed, which can mean that you show up as a lap down.
Going back a few years now, when we started commentating together in the days of AMS Oz, Lewis Wedding went off there, and I think in the version of the track that they were racing, he went down some sort of embankment into a ditch, which he couldn't get out of.
He was stuck there, I remember that.
So that was the sort of fate that could befall you if you went off there. Very treacherous.
That's when I have my love affair with Lewis Wedding. Which, I mean, he seems like
the honeymoon period over now?
He seems like a lovely guy. I just don't talk to him that much. But
well, he doesn't race as often in this series anymore. He does come in for the Enduros.
He does, usually with Hans Brunswick. But at the time, I was like, oh, this guy's the best guy ever. I can't wait for him to win the season. And unfortunately, Hobbo was in the season, and Hobbo was mighty quick. As it looks like we have a new car.
Yes, Hans. Did you just say Hans? That's
I said Hans Brunswick.
That's why I had that in my head, and so I saw the H and just said Hans. So Hayden Cupid here.
Oh,
first race for him.
Representing your old workplace stairs on the bonnet.
And Domino's.
Not your old workplace.
It's the same kind of colour scheme, those two logos. I'm wondering if that's why they were thrown onto that livery. Blue and red and white. Yes, I did spend quite a few years working for Officeworks.
I don't see any David Jones cars. So,
oh dear.
Oh, goodness me.
So you won't be wanting to do that during the race.
Or
how long were you at David Jones? That's a bit of a fever dream in my memory.
About 9 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
So enough time to gestate a human body, a human baby, a human fetus.
I mean, human babies usually do have a body.
Well, you'd hope that they are. Well, a body is usually used to talk about something that isn't alive.
Someone described babies to me recently as sacks of flesh that scream, which basically sums it up. But it wasn't as eloquent as I was expecting. Yeah, for about 9 months, worked at DJs. And sort of your status was predicated on how many people you could sign up to the David Jones American Express card. Ask me how many people I signed up to the David Jones American Express card.
None.
I signed up 0 people to the David Jones American Express card, and I also wasn't particularly good. I worked in the stationery desk, and I wasn't particularly good at upselling people to like $400 fountain pens. And that sort of thing. So
I think you got to really believe in something to sell it. At least I do. Maybe some people don't, and that's why they make good salesmen.
I'm sure. I can't believe that the people that work at David Jones really believe in whatever crap it is they're peddling. But It was fine. I just I wasn't filling the remit of pushing people into contracts.
See, that was about the time that my boss at Officeworks was saying, "Oh, if you know anyone who's looking for work, we've got a stock take coming up." and I knew you were looking for work at the time. I thought, "Oh, sounds great, you know, get a bit of cash." What I didn't realise is that they were only going to have you guys helping out for about 3 hours.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to pay you past 6 o'clock in the evening, and I had to keep working until midnight while we finished the count. But I had driven you there, so you had to wait for me anyway, and so you were forced to sit there and do nothing for the next 6 hours after you finished working.
Yeah, I'll tell you, that was a very long night to earn like what ended up being like $58 or something.
I'm so sorry. I didn't know that was what that was going to do.
Oh, it's alright. I've you know what, over the last 15 years, I've gotten over it, so I don't hold it against you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that wasn't the case more often, because pretty much everyone who worked there was the same age as me, and they would have likely had friends who were, carpooling as well.
Oh, goodness me.
So, the server's filling up. We've already got 19 times on the board. Lucky Burke is back as well, so...
Good to see that Napa car, yeah.
Yeah, I love that livery. I've got a magnet here.
I prefer the old one, yeah.
Which is a bit more blue, a little bit less white.
It's basically, it's dark blue where the current one is white.
Is that going to autofocus? There's not enough light in here.
No, not really. But yeah, and then it had the yellow bonnet with the big Napa logo on it, so...
So that was their Bathurst entry from last year, Lachlan Burke, and memory fails me who he teamed up with last Bathurst 1000, but...
I remember it well, just not the people.
So yeah, we've got all these magnets still from last year. We should do some for this year. For this year's... Although they change liveries all the time, so that makes it hard for us to kind of commit to something like that.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be something that's discussed 2 days before the Bathurst 1000 and will involve a mad dash to Officeworks.
Well, it's normally because we don't get the liveries until 2 days before, so don't blame me.
No, I'm not blaming you for it. I was just saying that's the way it tends to go.
Yeah,
and
that's the way it's going to be.
That's the way it's going to be. If that's the way it's going to go, that's the way it's going to be.
Hans Brunswick taking to the inside of the track there. We'll see if we can catch up with what happened there. Oh, and that's happened.
It's already begun.
Yeah, it's begun. See if we can wind the tape back. It's frozen on us for a hot minute. There we go. The AOC car. Hans Brunswick, bit of curb there.
And a little bit of a wiggle, but he's in control of it still. That's just out on the grass.
It's two wheels on the grass. See, they don't know the width of their cars. And this is in daylight, so you can imagine the trouble they might have when they turn the lights out. When they put the sun down.
The track is still incredibly well lit at night because, in general, they don't like forcing people to... Where is he going?
Excuse me. Can anyone tell me the way back to the racetrack?
Hans.
He's lost.
Hans.
He's got it. Oh, has he found it? No. He's finding a circuitous route back to the paddock, I think. That looks like some sort of access road.
It does. Definitely doesn't have any grip on it based off the fact that he wasn't able to brake to a stop.
The front has been overtaken by the rear.
Get in there, Aiden, says Bruisey.
I thought that said Bagsy for a moment. I was like, oh, g'day, Bagsy. But anyway, g'day, Breezy. Easy breezy.
And we've got It Is I saying Aiden earlier in the chat that we missed. And Let's Go Side taking podium. Let's Go Side?
So if this is your first time...
Sykes, maybe.
Yeah, where are you looking?
It Is I, Let's Go Side taking podium.
Let's Go Side. Could have been an autocorrect there.
Could have been.
Especially since he said Aiden.
So Sykes.
The only Aiden that we've got in this.
20 runners.
So it's good to see a big turnout for this event so far. With, let's bring up live timing up there. 21 drivers on the track. And good to see Dodger jumping in as well.
Hey!
Super 2 wildcard.
A favourite.
Definitely. A fan favourite of ours from way back. Do we remember his first race at Simmons Plains?
Absolutely. I was just thinking about it. I remember it well.
Marked improvement since then in Dodger.
Not sure it's possible to get worse.
I think when we first started commentating, and I think we commentated 1 or 2 Super 2 races, and at the time, I think you and I were both pretty confident that we could have won those races. Now, I think we get beaten by most of the Super 2 field these days, I think.
So I was thinking about once my house is finished and I've got money to spend on like a new wheel or something, I was thinking of like throwing my hat in for Super 2. I'm worried that I wouldn't actually be quick enough to qualify for Super 2, so...
Oh, I think you'd be alright.
Yeah, maybe.
They have a fairly wide field spread still. But yeah, I don't think...
I might give it a crack.
I've had similar thoughts.
Give Stenny and Cole... They can... They always
It'd be an
cop
interesting scenario.
They always cop it from us in the main series. We're very nice to them.
I tried to be complimentary. Yeah. Where is RSM Latino?
Oh my goodness!
He's been killed. He's been killed by that accident.
Well, we've got a free slot. If anyone wants to hop in, late call up. RSM Latino has just become deceased.
All right, so let's see if we can hear what caused the problem. Yeah, see, it was right hand down. When he should have straightened the wheel out.
Yeah, I see. He forgot that the corner ends.
Yeah. And then he ended.
But yeah, it would give Colin and Kurt an opportunity to commentate over us.
I can imagine us getting involved in some stupid accident and then them both being disabled by laughter.
I can imagine that. It happened often enough in our own racing league back in the day. Reversing into me reversing into you in the darkness.
Oh my goodness.
And setting you to spin just after you'd regained your straightness.
That's at a track that's no longer on the calendar. That was at Queensland Raceway we did that.
Is the paperclip no longer used for supercars?
No, they dropped that.
Oh. They don't know quality racetracks, do they? I've got no idea if QR was considered a good racetrack or not.
I mean, it wasn't the most creative track, but I kind of like that.
It was very
different. I actually prefer that to the kind of overcomplicated tracks. You know, wiggly bit, long, straight, very sharp.
I liked it more than the bend.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I'm alluding to.
Yeah.
There's like the bend has a little bit of tilka about it.
Yeah, I could see that. Like it's a bunch of like they've downloaded, you know, a Photoshop brush set that's like good corners, and they've just expanded the size of the brush and contracted it and pasted it in various rotations until they've formed vaguely an E.
We've got an update from RSM Latino, who goes by Cuzby on live chat. Pedal got stuck.
Oh, bugger. Well, hopefully you fixed that.
Did your steering wheel get stuck too? I suppose that was the quickest way to exit stage right and not cause a bigger problem and go spearing across the infield.
We've also got another name I don't recognise. Oh, we've got 2 Dodgers for a second there. It's now disappeared.
What's the name that you don't recognise there, man?
It was... it's no longer in the server, so perhaps they've dropped. It was Cuppet.
Well, we'll keep an eye on that.
And I was reminded because Captain Stardust 97 said, "Let's go Cuppet or Cuppet."
We talked about him.
Did we?
Hayden.
Hayden.
Hayden Cuppet.
Hey, old mate Hayden. All right.
That's a Domino's car with office works.
Of course.
We spoke about our respective employers for 10 minutes after that.
Goodness me, I'm getting
low in the tooth.
Oh, Lord.
No, it's normally me forgetting things, so I feel somewhat vindicated when someone else forgets something.
My Nana's at that point where she's just sort of, every time Mum goes around there, she sort of forgets who she is, and she's like, "Oh, I know you, I definitely know you. What movie were you in and stuff?" And Mum's like, no, Mum, yeah, it is, but, you know, we look on the bright side of it, which is that she keeps thinking that Mum is a movie star, which Mum thinks is hilarious.
She'd love that, your Mum. She's always asking if she can be an extra in a film or something. I'm like...
She's
and I say, Lynn, I'm not actually in the film industry. I make local television.
She's nearly 70 and she's still waiting for a big break.
You know, it could happen.
It could happen.
I believe James Cameron was a truck driver in his 30s, so he went on to direct some pretty high-budget films after that. So,
yeah.
Although, you know, truck drivers are, I was going to say, not that badly paid, but I think that might have changed actually in recent times.
Yeah, I feel like they were probably a lot worse paid.
I did see a documentary that talked about some of the conditions, at least in America, that truck drivers have to deal with, which is in a lot of ways something that, yes, ridiculous, especially considering that we rely on truck drivers for everything that we buy.
Well, who is it? Is it our friend Nether who deals with distribution and stuff? And I remember a car ride to I think we were going to Melbourne to watch the footy with him at one stage, and he was talking about how they have to have all these checks and balances in all the trucks to make sure the drivers aren't driving further than they're allowed to each day. And
they get monitored. Like, talk about surveillance. He showed me actually an app or something that I think he was either involved in in this app being developed or something, but it showed how he'd sped by about 2 or 3 kilometers per hour sometime between here and Horsham.
Oh my gosh.
And for 3 seconds or something like that, and it had been recorded there.
Jeez.
And you had to kind of have an explanation for that. So
yeah,
I don't know about that, but
I guess it's. I mean, when you think about the size of the things they're driving, making sure that they're doing, that they're not falling asleep. As we see the outline of Barbagallo Raceway, pretty simple. As we were saying, this doesn't show the elevation, obviously, which is a little bit more dramatic. We've got turns 1, 2, 3 through that little sort of twisty section in the first sector. Long sweeping left-hander of 4, tight kink of 5, long downhill hairpin of 6. Would you even call that a hairpin, really?
Well, it's a 180-degree corner, but yeah, maybe not a hairpin.
It's very wide for a hairpin.
I don't know how much hair it would hold down.
And then that long straight down the hill into the last corner of turn 7, and then onto the start-finish straight qualifying session.
Yep, 10 minutes. I always think for these shorter tracks, I prefer to see a 5-minute
5-minute session, really put it up them. Get it flustered. I reckon we've had a 5-minute one either here or at Simmons. I reckon
definitely
it was Simmons Plains.
Yeah.
And it was chaotic as,
definitely.
and in a nice way.
But it's good, it means that they don't have too many chances.
Turns it almost into a shootout, but with a couple of laps up your sleeve instead. Like, you don't have time to go back to pits and tweak your setup or anything. So
yeah, with the 10-minute session here, considering that they get around the lap in just shy of 55 seconds for the faster guys, that's quite a few laps that they can manage to get.
Oh, unsafe release.
That was the AWG car. I didn't quite see which one that was.
Nearly running into.
And our friend
Hayden Kirpett.
Who you remember his name now?
Cuppet.
Just think what you want to do to a breast. Just cup it.
I was going to say
Gently.
a ball sack.
Oh,
but
well,
different strokes.
To each their own.
Yeah.
To each their own.
Just my own.
Mel had a ball sack.
Like to feel. No, well, Mel doesn't. But I just like to feel a bit of support for myself.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Just while I'm waiting for my fuel. Like I'm at the Bowser. I was torn between Geyser and Bowser. When I'm at the Bowser filling up, you got to do something with the other hand. So I just slip it down there,
Scrotums
give it a little.
And grandmothers, you like wrinkled things, don't you?
Oh my goodness.
So we've got all but one car on track, and that's Dodger, who's elected not to come out, and Zach Baker leads the way. So he's actually quite some car lengths in front of everyone else. We'll see if we can pick him up on this lap, which will be the first time lap of this qualifying session.
Giving himself a lot of room. There he is.
Coming up the hill. And we've seen a lot of people already dipping wheels in the grass. That's how much they have to push. He's got 2 wheels on the grass there, but he manages to hold on to it. So I think they're just going to have to throw caution to the wind through there, because it seems to be the fastest way around there so far.
If you're able to keep your foot in it, then you can. It's a decent run down to turn 6.
Colin Warwick's going quick. He's got the fastest sector 1 time so far.
All the way down the back straight and into the last corner. It's such a dramatic dip down that back straight, over the line and onto the curb, but we've seen that they seem to be getting away with that one.
Clouts that curb.
And he does.
54.4, that's the benchmark set by Zach Baker. Colin Warwick is fastest in the middle sector as well, so he's on a heater. Ethan Warren goes fastest in the first sector and usurps Colin Warwick in the second sector, so Colin Warwick has come across the line in first. Ethan Warren, I imagine, will not be too far offsetting the provisional pole time himself.
Indeed, Dayne Warren, previous pole sitter here, will obviously have something to say about that as well. Didn't mention the previous pole times when we were looking at the track.
I think Ethan must have got a track cut, because he's not actually set a time on that lap.
No,
so I wonder if that was the final corner that we were talking about, Matt Bird.
Yeah, possibly. There must be a limit.
The final corner is the only corner in the final sector of the racetrack.
It's true. Otherwise it's all foot down. So
He's up again here though.
he is into as we're getting a bit of smoke signals from someone going through turn 6. Was off on the inside of the racetrack, which I believe may have been Termo, actually, who's actually up in 3rd. So decent showing from Termo so far. Kurt Stenberg 3/10 behind Colin Warwick at the moment. Ethan Warren into the pits. So
maybe he hadn't filled up enough.
Maybe.
He did seem to back off towards the second sector there. Some of these cars, they're struggling to find a bit of space on the racetrack as Dane Liccardo struggles alongside Lachlan Burke for grip. So these two are just hampering each other as Dane Liccardo, I think, elects to
get out of the way.
Bail out of that lap. Probably a wise choice.
Dayne Warren into the server now, and
It's not set a lap time yet.
he's going through the first sector as we speak, I believe. According to our timing.
Yeah, we're just trying to pick him up. Yeah, he is.
Just coming down the back straight now, and you can see he's
up
half a tenth.
He's got a nice little toe, I think, actually, from the car in front.
Oh.
And they both go off quite neatly, actually.
Almost perfectly.
That was Dane Liccardo and the Luke McHugh car as Dane Warren goes to the top by 1/10 of a second, dropping Colin Warwick down to second. Kurt Stenberg in 3rd place. Hans Brunswick doing well, good showing, only half a second off the pace in 4th place. Alex Cattle 2. Who's out of place, do we reckon?
Well, Benjamin Dahlia.
Corey McFarlane.
Definitely.
Hayden Cupid, his first foray into this series, so we don't really know what to expect from him so far.
Oh, that was from Hans Brunswick rejoining at the apex of the corner, not the politest thing to do.
Yeah, but was Dane Warren actually on a lap, or was he planning to come into the pits on this one? We saw Ethan Warren come out, only fueled for one flying lap.
Doesn't seem to be setting the lights, the timing screens alight.
Not hugely surprising there. Let's see what Hans Brunswick can do. Good qualifying session so far, in 4th place.
Into the first corner, a little bit hesitant there, has to tip it in a couple of times before he finally commits, and then sets off down through turns 2 and 3. Oh, gets a little bit of curb up onto 2 wheels for just a second, but seems to be nice and planted through this section onto, I want to say the back straight, but it's not really, and he's backing out. So
that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not sure what the reason for that was. So he's
just a messy first sector, maybe.
Not happy with something.
Not happy with something,
for sure.
Pick
up Ethan Warren coming to the line. I haven't seen any of his sector times on this lap yet.
And you will continue not to.
No. Did he get a track cut? Or was that his out lap?
That could have been the out lap.
Well, he hasn't actually set a time. No, he had a fast middle sector on that previous lap, so it was a track cut on the final corner, which I didn't think I saw him go particularly wide.
That didn't look like it was, quote, taking the piss.
So this is starting to get, I wouldn't say urgent, but, you know, not that comfortable that we've got 4 minutes left in this qualifying session and he hasn't got a banker in yet.
You'd like to have gotten something in, yeah.
Fastest first sector, and he's been consistently fast through that first sector throughout this qualifying session.
Down the back straight he goes, down that dramatic dip.
He's up by 1/10 of a second.
He is into the last corner, which we feel like he may have been getting track cuts at. Keeps it nice and neat. Oh, never mind, all the way over the curb. But again, they seem to get away with it. And he doesn't, so
yeah, well, that's it. Yeah,
maybe that is that must be the limit, is if you get all 4 wheels up onto the curb, then you forfeit your lap time.
And he was up by quite a way on that second sector, so he didn't really need to be that aggressive on that final. I would have just, I mean, I'm not Ethan Warren, but I would have just kind of taken it easy, get that banker lap in, because if he's only fueled for 1 flying lap in this, then he's got to come in and then refuel. He's really only got 1 more shot at it.
And he must be, because he's well off the pace on this lap, so this is definitely an in lap. So he's basically wasting 3 laps worth of time each time that he fails to set a lap time.
Let's see what Dayne Warren can do. Currently sat in first, but I don't think we've seen the fastest that he can do so far. Didn't write down what the record time was from 2020 that he set. I'm assuming he set it.
I I reckon it was a 53.064. I'm pulling that out of nowhere, but
no, I mean that sounds about right. I reckon he's got that kind of time in hand, Dayne Warren, because
he's already up by most of a tenth.
I don't think we've seen the best of him so far tonight.
You're getting the best of Dayne Warren. 0.2 of a second up.
Yeah, there you go.
Or thereabouts. On this lap into the last
huge
one.
amount of activity. Oh, is that Ethan Warren? Ethan Warren got tangled up, I think, there, as Dayne Warren got a bit of a tank slapper coming off the curb.
He went well over the curb and then came back onto the racetrack, and the game gives him the lap time. So I'm not sure what the track cut situation is at the last corner, but it seems to be a bit all over the place.
Yeah, so I think we're gonna find out what happened to Ethan Warren a moment ago, and this is him coming out of the pits to start his outlap. It's the new guy. Drove straight into him.
Cuppert.
Oh, and that's... Oof. Yeah, so...
That's a bit rude.
I think Ethan decided wisely to go back into the pits and try again. I think he's got plenty of time. There's still a minute 20 left.
Hayden. Old mate Hayden. Don't do that, mate.
Well, we'll chalk that one up to experience.
Dayne just desperate to get past these, I hesitate to say back markers.
He's coming in. So his qualifying session is done. He won't have time to get around for another lap. And so a 153.0 was what he ended up doing. So that's, if your memory is correct, I think that he might have beaten that record.
So Ethan Warren or RSM Latino, the only two yet to have set a lap time. This will be Ethan's only opportunity once he crosses the line, because there is only 40 seconds left in this qualifying session as he rides that curb. See, Dayne Warren went further over than that, and yet the game counted his lap time. So hacks. My voice broke. That's how shocked and appalled I am. But
two TTR cars, a line astern. We can see Kurt trailing Ethan, and in this qualifying session, Ethan is trailing Kurt.
A little bit wobbly, and he's down by about 1/4 of a tenth.
That's a shame, because he has actually been fastest through for the first sector.
But that was before Dayne improved.
It's true. He moved the goalposts.
So it's still not too far off the goalposts, it must be said. If it's a behind, it's only just. As he gets some more smoke signals, he's pulled it back. He's 18 hundredths of a second
it's pretty
down,
good.
coming into the last corner.
I don't think he's going to leave anything on the table here. I think he's still going to... No, he's made a liar of me. That was clean and clinical. And that is good enough for second place. Good job.
Well done to Ethan Warren. Kurt Stenberg not going to improve.
And see, he goes all over the curb.
So, as it stands, Dayne Warren, Ethan Warren. Tell me if you're getting sick of me saying an all Warren front row. Then we've got Warwick and Stenberg 3rd and 4th. Hans Brunswick in 5th. Lachlan Burke in 6th.
You've misgendered him.
Corey McFarlane in 7th. Alex Cattle 8th. Zach Baker 9th. And Benjamin Dahlia in 10th. So, who's out of position? Who would we expect to be up higher? That's probably about right in terms of
we had someone drop out of the
10.
server, because we did have 21 at one point. We're down to 20.
It wasn't old mate Hayden, was it? It was. He's not. I can't see him.
Not in the timing screen.
So perhaps bailed in shame after his unsafe release.
Well, maybe he didn't get a decent lap time in.
Yeah, good Hayden, good defending, my boy, says Captain Stardust 97 in the chat.
Considering you're not allowed to pass in the pit lane.
Oh my goodness. We've seen worse in Formula 1.
Oh, we've seen worse in ASC.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, I would hold people that are paid millions of dollars a year to do what they do to a slightly higher standard.
We saw someone reverse in the pit lane for revenge, for retaliatory action last year. So we don't want to see any of that. I'm sure that was just a little bit of an inexperienced mistake from Hayden there.
Hayden, my boy.
And he wouldn't do that again.
So that's qualifying.
That's qualifying.
For race number 1, the 46 lapper. Not sure why I said it that way.
46 lapper. Yeah, so 1/10 of a second and a little bit of change. The advantage that Dayne Warren had over Ethan. So the top 4 in championship order.
Satisfying.
Dayne, Ethan, Colin and Kurt. So that looks set to continue if their form in the race is anything can be judged upon their performance in the qualifying itself. Hayden's saying, I'll stick to Super 2. Oh, no, I'm sure.
Nah, we've seen much worse, mate. You should get back in there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
That you'll definitely find someone to race. Don't you worry about it, matey. And we hang turds on literally everybody, so don't take that to heart. So we've got a few minutes here while they have a quick warm-up session. I can see the light has moved into a sort of sunsetty.
Yeah, that's the way, isn't it?
Yeah, so nice and romantic. Stairs.
Steady on there, Bruce.
You're a hornbag. I'm a fool.
G'day, Kel? No, that was the other one. Kim's mum. Kim's husband.
Kath's husband.
Kath's husband.
Brett.
No, Kim's husband.
Bretty. That's Kim.
Kath is the mum.
Yeah.
Kim is the...
Bretty is Kim's
Brett
husband.
Yeah.
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 Look, Kim, a poem!
My goodness.
Oh, put in a heated spa.
Kath and Kim for all of those playing at home.
Did you see that they are demolishing the Kath and Kim house?
I didn't know it was still standing.
It's sort of whoever owns it has decided enough is enough, and they're pulling it down. So
I read that because Neighbours is finishing, all the people who live on Ramsay Street are like, oh, thank God for that, because they have to let people film in their house for 20 weeks of the year or something like that.
that'd be pretty rough.
I don't know how they manage to film however long Neighbours goes for the year, from fucking February through to like November or whatever.
Yeah.
5 days a week, 30 minutes of commercial television. Like, as someone who kind of works in a TV-related kind of industry, I don't know how they do it.
It's an absurd amount of work.
It's absolutely incredible.
I was looking up... What was I looking up recently?
Regardless of quality or whatever you think of soap operas, but...
We were talking about... Me and my mum were talking about...
That's a well-oiled machine.
We were talking about Days of Our Lives, the well-known soap opera, which started in 1965... number of episodes, 14,000.
My God. 1965.
Yeah, it's been around a while.
And that whole story arc that they had on Friends where Joey was on that show, I believe they actually used the same sets. I'm not 100% sure.
Well, apparently the main not for Days of Our Lives, but for The Bold and the Beautiful, which is one of those other perennial soap operas that's been going for 40 years. Apparently the main demographic is 18 to 34-year-olds. So...
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, I looked it up. And
that's what it started as?
No, that's what it is today. Like, that's what the viewer demographic is today. So
do you think they've misidentified that?
No, I feel like they must have modernized it, or like, you know,
But there's got to be a lot of older people watching those shows.
Yeah, my nana loves Bold and the Beautiful. But they must have... It still draws an audience.
I would have thought... At least when I was a kid, I thought The Bold and the Beautiful was for people who are homesick from school or work. It was like one of those shows like Ready, Steady, Cook that you never watch when you're fit and healthy.
No, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Ready, Steady, Cook was one of those... Yeah, it was on at like sort of like middle of the day on ABC, and it was always the sort of thing that... It's like Behind the News. I never watched an episode of Behind the News live.
Well, we watched them at school.
We watched them at school.
VHS
tapes, but... Yeah. It was on at like 10 a.m. or something, which, like, you know, no kids are at home to watch it. Like, why?
Yeah, that's a strange thing then, isn't it? Wouldn't you put it on in the afternoon? Well, they often used to do that on ABC. They'd repeat the same programs in the afternoon that they'd had on in the morning. But I remember BTN coming on, and there was this girl in our class. They were doing some story about the UN, and the leader of the UN at the time was this guy called Kofi Annan, who was this kind of distinguished-looking guy from South Africa or something. And one of the girls in our class was like, I love that guy. And I was like, what a random thing to say.
Well, you know, his name's Coffee. Can't be too bad.
Yeah, fair enough.
BTN.
My
goodness. I was the one that brought up Behind the News, and I've like sort of just like given myself a nostalgia aneurysm from like I have not thought about BTN in oof.
Speaking of nostalgia, my housemates are watching Dragon Ball Z lately.
Oh my goodness.
It's like, what? That show seems much less serious than I remember it being as a kid.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb. there's a much...
This guy's like, ramen! This is godlike guy. I can't remember the character, but he's got like this ring thing.
I think he's called Kami. He's called like which is God in
Yeah, I was like, is this the best food that you've got? And he's like very seriously eating it. And it's like, this is amazing! In a very kind of anime way. And then he's like,
oh my goodness. Yeah, Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, well, it's because it was, I don't know if it was designed for you know, it obviously wasn't designed for, you know, Australian morning syndication, but I feel like it was it was almost perfectly designed in that you never really missed anything, because there'd be something would happen and there'd be 5 episodes of like charging the soul bomb.
That used
or
to
whatever.
annoy the hell out of me because I could only watch it when the school holidays were on, because otherwise I had to
God.
catch the bus. So they'd get through like very much nothing at all in terms of plot in the 2 weeks that the holidays were on.
That's a shame.
All right, looks like we're
in
getting set for a
daylight.
race start. Ben Thompson in the live chat saying, is the racing that bad that we're talking about BTN? Well, the racing hasn't started yet, my friend, so we're filling for time as they...
I'm glad someone else remembers BTN. Good on you, Ben.
Well, he wasn't that complimentary of it. Let's have a little bit of a reminder of the particulars of the race itself, shall we? We'll get a bit of a preview here, and we'll remind ourselves what that track record was going into tonight.
Pencil and paper at the ready.
It was a 52.769, so we were actually a few tenths away from that for qualifying. As far as race lap record, a 53.076, which is remarkably close to what we did have as a pole time in that last session there, man. But
Yes, indeed. Very, very close from Dayne Warren. Did we miss anything else? We've got Mr. Walsh just saying, let's go Steve Warwick, let's go Turmo, which pretty decent qualifying from the both of them. Turmo in 11th and Steve Warwick in 13th. So good starting locations.
all right, they're starting to make their way off the grid here. Madbird, do you want to take us through?
Absolutely. Welcome to the Perth Supernight. Now broadcast in the day.
Yeah. I think the second race might be at night, but we've obviously...
God, let's hope so. Dayne Warren on pole position once again, followed by his brother Ethan Warren. Ethan Warren locking out the front row for the Warren brothers once again. In 3rd place, we've got Colin Warwick, and behind him his co-admin, well, in front of him currently on track, Kurt Stenberg in 4th place. In 5th, starting from 5th, we've got Hans Brunswick, very good qualifying session for him. In 6th place, we've got Lachlan Burke in that Napa livery that we like so much. Bump drafting.
They went a little bit unnoticed by us. Great qualifying.
Yeah, very good. He's sort of snuck under the radar. In 7th place, we've got Corey McFarlane in the Master Foods car. In 8th, we've got one of the AWG cars of Alex Cattle. In 9th place, we've got Zach Baker, a little bit lower down than we'd expect him to be. In 10th, we've got Benjamin Dahlia in another of the AWG cars. Turmo in 11th, as we just discussed, in that Pennzoil bright yellow, or at least it'll stand out, won't it? In 12th place, we've got Aiden Sykes, Anya Aiden. In 13th, we have got Kai Jones. 14th, we've got Steve Warwick, father of the soon-to-be father, Colin Warwick. In 15th place, we've got Brandon Dostal, who we saw having a few accidents in practice. Let's hope he can keep it on the track for the race. In 16th, we've got the ever-present Maple Leaf Sim Sport Timber Hortons car of Cameron Parrott. That's getting longer every time I say it. Dane Liccardo in 17th place. In 18th...
Oh, someone's just disappeared. Oh, they're back.
Oop.
Ben Hall.
Oh my goodness. In 18th, we've got Ben Hall there with that lovely tribute on the bonnet. In 19th, we've got Rapp in the pretty plain black Dare car. 20th, we've got RSM Latino. And 21st, we have got Stenny, father of Colin Warwick.
Dane Liccardo's looped it.
No, that's Brandon Dostal, I think.
I don't think it is.
I reckon it is. See if you can... Oh, no, you are 100% correct.
He's found his way back, and so now we are about ready for a race start.
Here we are. Nice wide shot. Nice panning angle, as it looks like a much better start for Ethan Warren, who's into the lead, and Colin Warwick went nowhere. Kurt Stenberg now all over the back of Dayne Warren. Ethan trying to crowd his brother out through the first corner, but he's going to get the inside line for the next corner. Slots into first. Dayne Warren has to settle for second, and Kurt Stenberg all over the back of him. It is a Dayne Warren sandwich between two Trans-Tasman Racing pieces of bread.
Oh, someone's out wide. I think it's Corey McFarlane in the back of that shot. We'll see if we can pick that up a little bit later. He's dropping down. Yes, he's down 14th, 15th place. So a terrible start there for Corey McFarlane as he drops to the back. But meanwhile, great start from Ethan Warren. We've seen him make a few good starts this year.
Yeah, hopefully he can hold on to it. Usually Dayne is able to reel him in, but he's got a rear view mirror full of Kurt Stenberg, who is a Perth boy, of course, so he knows this track very well. And they go through the last corner for the first time. You can see Dayne Warren taking much more liberties with the track limits compared to the other two, the two Trans-Tasman drivers. But it looks like it's all fair going through the first lap.
So this is what happened to Corey McFarlane. Bit of door-to-door action, fed him out wide into the grass, and he took a circuitous route back to the racetrack. So I'm a little bit worried that he might not have got his lap counted if he went that way to get back to the racetrack. We'll keep eyes on that. But you can see he's dropped all the way down to 17th place.
Yeah, that's not great. And in fact, I reckon that might be exactly what's happened. Oh, no, because he would be at the bottom if he lost
he's ahead of perhaps Dennis.
RSM Latino, we've just had DNF from the race. Not sure what happened there. If there was an accident or if it was a disconnect or something like that. Keep an eye on this front battle at the moment, though. Kurt Stenberg just losing touch with Dayne Warren just a little bit as they complete lap 2. Is a very short lap, so we're going to be chugging through this 46 laps very, very quick. RSM Latino did have that pedal issue that we saw in practice.
That is true, and I'm wondering if that's reared its head again, because he's gone off in much the same way he did in practice.
He doesn't look like he's slowing down much.
Well, yeah, I think from that point there, he's either elected to go back to the racetrack or gone back to the garage, and it was the latter, unfortunately. So RSM Latino becomes the first retirement of this race, as Dayne Warren is now putting his brother Ethan Warren under an enormous amount of pressure. My goodness, how many times have we said that this year?
Kurt Stenberg already falling off the back. He's about 1.2 seconds behind Dayne Warren at this stage. So Dayne with a good opportunity to slipstream behind Ethan Warren all the way down this back straight into the last corner. He's going to dive down the inside, and is he going to get the job done? Ethan goes very, very wide. But
that's going to be a corner cut.
Keep his foot in it, though.
That is a carbon copy of what happened on the weekend with the real-life supercars. And the driver who did that got a penalty, a 5-second penalty. This time, Dayne Warren, I think he's going to get the lead anyway as they go side by side coming up the S's.
No, Ethan on the inside through turn 4. And will he be able to run Dayne out of road? No, so Dayne's going to have the inside for turn 5 all the way down into turn 6. 2 wheels on the
grass there for Ethan Warren. That's ended in tears for a few drivers already.
Ethan right on the bumper of his brother, though, so he's going to have the opportunity to do what Dayne did on the previous lap into the last corner.
Will he do it, though? Will he have the speed to pull the trigger? He's had a little bit of a look, but I don't think he's got the braking performance, and Dayne Warren is going to go... Oh, they both go wide again. They're going to use up all their corner cuts pretty early on in this race at this rate.
I reckon we're going to see penalties before this race is out. They've got another 41 laps to go around here. Even if they're only getting a corner cut once every 5 laps, that's going to be more than enough to give them a drive through.
Oh, a little bit wide there for Dayne Warren, and Ethan just uses that opportunity to give him a little bit of a tap. On board now with Kurt Stenberg, who's a few car lengths behind the leading duo, and Josh Anderson in the chat saying, is that the real Kurt Stenberg? Bit famous on the weekend, Madberg. Got interviewed in pit lane by Chad Nalon and Bryony from the Repco live, Facebook Live, YouTube Live on the Supercars channel.
As seen on Supercars Official. So big name Kurt Stenberg. At the moment, unfortunately, not doing big lap times, and he's about 2 seconds behind the leading battle and just losing touch slowly.
Ethan hasn't given up on this just yet. We'll give you a bit of an update if this settles down on everyone else in the field to see where everyone's got themselves up to. But the top 5 are kind of nicely spread apart. Colin Warwick losing that position to Kurt Stenberg. Hans Brunswick with a strong showing up in 5th place.
Yeah, maintaining his qualifying position, which is no mean feat. So doing very well to hang where he is.
He's ahead of Lachlan Burke at the moment by about half a second. Doing a good job there in that AOC car.
Looks like a bit of a scrap between Alex Cattle and Zach Baker over 7th and 8th place. Zach Baker reeling him in down this back straight. Zach up a position from his start, and just keeping himself in his rearview mirror all the way through that last corner, maybe trying to force him to defend.
Alex going from strength to strength this year, I think. He's the leading AWG car, and that has been quite a turnaround. You can see Benjamin Dahlia down there in 9th place, who was looking like the stronger of the 3 drivers in that stable last year. Sean Allen was probably the stronger in the early years when they were still a Race on Oz outfit with Brody Steen, who's not racing with us tonight, unfortunately.
Well, Alex Cattle is technically in the B team, AWG2, so he's doing quite well to be ahead of the A team, as it were. Zach Baker though, right on the back of him.
Absolutely, you've got to think he's going to have a go here. I think Alex Cattle's going to try and defend that. No, he's managed to do that without having to move too far from the racing line, so good job there. Let's see if Zach Baker can continue to mount a challenge for this 7th place.
Yeah, just trying to force him into an error maybe as they go through turn 1. At the front, that continues unabated at the front with Ethan Warren. Just a couple of tenths, losing a little bit to Dayne Warren over the last couple of laps, but still keeping himself within touching distance.
So Dane Liccardo's had a DNF in recent times. I did see him drop down the field, so I'll try and recover what's happened to him. So that's unfortunate. We saw him spin on the outlap, so maybe something not right with the balance of that car, Madbird?
Yeah, possibly. Or it could have been another, well, we saw RSM Latino with his pedal issue, so it could have been something similar. As we see Dane once again just all over the place through that last corner and seemingly getting away with it. So it seems to be an odd situation with that last corner in terms of what it considers to be a track cut and what it doesn't.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit inconsistent. We saw the first year that we raced here, we saw a bit of a curb glitch there, which sent the race leader at the time, Jake Maloney, off the racetrack. So we're just going to catch a replay now of what happened with Dane Liccardo. He was in the thick of the action, battling away there with Brandon Dostal in the number 76 car. So Dane Liccardo on the inside here. But I think it might have been a connection issue if we keep watching.
Yeah.
That's desperate bad luck for Dane Liccardo.
That's a bugger.
That's unfortunately put an end to his main race tonight, and we hope to see him back for the 2nd race. So just a good old-fashioned connection issue for Dane Liccardo, although he won't be calling it a good old-fashioned anything.
He'll probably be calling it a bleeping bleep piece of bleep, bleeping connect, you bleep, and so on and so forth.
And who can blame him?
Well, fair. I've said much worse.
Now we've got a bit of a 2x2 race going on. So Ethan Warren and Dane Warren over 1st and 2nd. Kurt Stenberg is coming under a bit of renewed pressure right now for 3rd and 4th. And of course we've got those battles over 5th and 6th between Hans Brunswick and Lachlan Burke, and Alex Cattle and Zach Baker over 7th and 8th. So they're split off into pairs.
They seem to have, and it's convenient but inconvenient because we don't have 5 screens.
No idea who to look at.
No.
Yeah, but it looks like Dane has made a little bit of a break at the front of the field.
Yeah, out to about half a second now between the two of them. So Dane just edging that gap out ever so slightly.
This one's looking the most willing, I think. I think Colin Warwick is... he was faster in qualifying, so one would think that he does have an edge over Kurt at the moment.
Seems to have caught up quite a bit over the last couple of laps. The gap was about 1.7 seconds at one stage, and he's just been reeling that in slowly. So Colin looking to redress his bad start. He just seemed to go nowhere off the grid. Got swamped, so he would be wanting to get that position back. If you want to look at our live timing, rsmclanau.liveraces.com, and you can see the rather pleasing sequence of groups of 2 cars throughout the top 10.
Although it's becoming a bit of a group of 4 cars from 5th on down to 8th.
It is, yeah. So we've got Hans Brunswick, Lachlan Burke, Alex Cattle and Zach Baker rapidly converging on one another.
Yeah, so that Alex Cattle-Zach Baker battle is actually catching the guys in front. I wonder if they've had a little bit of wheel-to-wheel, gone a bit sideways here and there. Dano's PC froze is the message from Hayden Colbert. So you can't see the message from Dano that just came up, but he's basically told us that he's had some rotten luck this year. And Dane, I hope that turns around for you, mate. And
Absolutely.
look forward to seeing you back in the second race as Lachlan Burke had a little bit of a moment on traction there. Coming out of turn number 5, turns 4 and 5.
This is quickly becoming a Hans train. With Hans Brunswick doing a good job of... as I say that, he's outbroke himself at turn 6.
It was a bit off camera, so we didn't quite see exactly what the mistake was from Hans Brunswick, but it's put him under significant pressure from Lockie Burke, who's up the inside, probably more than he needs to be. Meanwhile, the move is on for 3rd and 4th place as Colin Warwick dives down the inside of Kurt Stenberg down here at turn 1. They give each other the space. I don't know whether you want to be on the inside or the outside coming out of turn 1, because it's really... It could go one way or the other, Madbird.
Yeah, it favours you in different areas depending on which one you are. But at the very end, I think it's better to be on the outside through turn 1 because you get the eventual inside onto this back straight here. So Kurt Stenberg has managed to hold on to that 3rd position for now, but Colin Warwick looking like he wants to challenge going down the back straight.
And this was the move there. That was the mistake from Hans Brunswick. We'll take you back to that action between Colin Warwick and Kurt Stenberg. So it was a little bit wide from Hans Brunswick down at turn 6. That was the error that cost him 7th place. Cost him 5th place, in fact. He hasn't lost 7th place because he's never been. He
hasn't occupied it as yet.
Exactly.
Colin almost pushing Kurt through the corner. Kurt covering off the inside.
Hans is in the pits.
So early pit stop there for Hans.
Also, oh no, that's Dane Liccardo who's also in the pits. He's
DNF'd.
there because he's DNF, but his car hasn't changed colour yet. And we've also got, who is that? No, it is just Hans Brunswick. And Termo.
Termo also in the pits, so 2 early pit callers.
So first of 2 stops for them.
And Kurt seems to have seen off this challenge at least so far, as Colin sort of just has a peek into the last corner, tries to put Kurt off his braking line, but Kurt manages to have it all in hand by the looks of it. And into turn 1 we go once again. So Kurt doing a good job defensively here. At the front, Dane is now out to a 2nd ahead of his brother Ethan.
Question from It Is I. What happened to Hayden? He pitted as well, so that's why he's dropped down the order. So nothing to worry about for you Aiden Sykes fans out there.
Oh, a couple of tyres on the grass there for Kurt Stenberg, so got a little bit squirrely under acceleration, but managed to hold on to it.
So meanwhile, fastest lap of the race has been set by Dayne Warren, a 53.679. Still nowhere near our race lap record, which is a 53 flat. As a little bit of lap traffic there.
Brandon Dostal, I think.
And that's cost, he was coming into the pits there, that's cost Colin Warwick a little bit of time there.
Yeah, that's a little bit awkward.
And Zach Baker's coming in as well.
Looks like we've had a few pit callers, so...
This is probably the optimal time to make your first pit stop if you're splitting your race into 3 equal parts.
So Hans Brunswick, Benjamin Dahlia, Alex Cattle have all come in. Looks like Lachlan Burke is the only one left of that foursome that we saw battling. Still having not had his pit stop.
Oh, it's a shame. So that's Stenny the senior, one of 2 father-son drivers in this race, who he's got a DNF now. So I think he's just decided to call it quits after getting that, what I believe was a penalty for
corner cutting, I would imagine.
Oh, that was a late call for the pits for Colin Warwick. I don't think he was planning to do that. And so that is going to be very interesting to see how that plays out with his battle with Kurt Stenberg. So Colin Warwick's in. Who else is in the pits? Brandon Dostal.
Yeah, so Colin Warwick just maybe looking to try to go for the undercut. He's been stuck right up the back of Kurt Stenberg's spoiler for the last few laps. So this is an opportunity to try to jump him through the pit stops, I suppose. So we'll see if it works out for him. Kurt Stenberg, I imagine, will probably come in this lap, although he does sometimes
Go long.
He does sometimes go long with his strategy. So.
Big call from Breezy in the live chat telling you in the second half of this race, Aiden is going on a charge. So you heard it here first.
Looking forward to it.
Ethan Warren is in the pit. Dayne Warren is in the pits.
Kurt into the pits as well.
And also Cameron Parrott coming out of his box.
The ever-present Tim Horton's car.
Beat me to it. So that leaves Ethan Warren as the race leader by default, having not made his pit stop yet.
So him, Corey McFarlane, Lachlan Burke, and Ben Hall and Steve Warwick are the only ones yet to have pit, I believe.
Yeah, so you can see that kind of divide happening. It's one of those races you don't have to be too far off the lead to make your pit stop, and you end up a lap down.
Well, I reckon. I think Brapp still hasn't pit as well because he's probably out of position.
So Kurt's just emerging from the pits now.
And he's come out behind Colin. There goes Colin.
He's done it again.
Up
2 seconds up the road.
Yeah, and he's done this a couple of races in a row. He's just pit that one lap earlier, which maybe that was a late call because he had a feeling that Kurt was going to be coming in and he wanted to get in first.
Ethan's in
so
from the race lead here, so this is going to be interesting to see how the gap is affected for the lead of the race. So Dayne Warren's currently in third. He's coming up to the last corner now. That's a terrible angle for watching cars in the pits behind the bridge. Ethan's on the move. Dayne is coming across the line now. Or I think Dayne's, he's gonna well and truly kind of have the same gap that he had before, I think, which was about 1 second or so. A little bit of an opportunity here as Ethan gets slightly newer tyres. But Dayne, of course, does have the hot rubber at the moment.
Yeah, 2 seconds now the gap between the two of them, so it hasn't worked out for Ethan.
Worked out very well for Colin though, so he's managed to effect a very effective undercut there on Kurt Stenberg. He now has 3 seconds over Kurt Stenberg, and he did seem to have the pace before that. Yep. So just revisiting our battle before, Hans Brunswick has regained 5th place through the pit stops ahead of Lockie Burke. Zach Baker in 7th has jumped ahead of Alex Cattle. And then we've got Benjamin Daly and Corey McFarlane rounding out the top 10. So that's a bit of a recovery drive for Corey McFarlane. Good job to see him in the top 10 from where he was down in 17th earlier, Madbird.
Yeah, definitely. Turmo, Aiden Sykes just waiting
picking his moment,
like a tiger in his qualifying spot. So he hasn't lost any positions. So that'll be a salve.
Madbird, we've not reached the second half of the race yet.
That's very true.
The trigger will be pulled.
There's still 4 laps to go before you get serious.
Lap 23, you keep your eyes out. If you've got live timing, you better wear sunglasses when you're watching that live timing screen.
It's going to get light up.
Blinded by the light.
Red up.
There's something about a douche, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to look it up actually.
Revved up like a douche.
Revved up like a douche.
So I didn't think douches get revved up, because isn't that a device for cleaning your vagina?
Revved up like a deuce.
Oh, deuce. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Another runner in the night.
Yeah.
Revved up like a douche.
There's nothing. I mean, I remember my mum cleaning her nose with a nasal douche when I was
thought you were going to say something very different when we were talking about douches. And so I remember my mum.
I was just like,
oh my goodness.
Like up one nostril, and she's like, and then all the goo comes out the other side. That was when I realised that the 2 nostrils are connected.
Lord have mercy.
So, watching this little battle, Benjamin Dahlia now on the back of his teammate Alex Cattle, as Corey McFarlane gets put under pressure by the 2 AWG cars.
Yep, double teaming. Oh, as we see, that wasn't Hunt. No, that was Brapp, I believe.
Brapp getting out of the way and doing so on the grass, but
I'll tell you what, Dayne Warren hasn't waited for the second half of the race. He's now 4 seconds ahead of him.
No, far from it. That looked like Alex Cattle. That looked like a team move there from Alex Cattle.
Yeah, maybe. Benjamin Daly, in theory, is the stronger of the 2. We've seen he was blisteringly quick last season. But
slow out that last corner.
Yeah, Alex all over the back of him. So
I think Alex probably thought, Benjamin's got the better chance of overtaking Corey McFarlane, but I actually think that Alex has the edge tonight.
Seems to be. And this season in general, actually, Alex seems to be probably the stronger of the AWG cars. If only from just sheer amount of running, he's been the most consistently attended of the AWG.
Kai Jones is in the pits. It's 22. We're almost at half distance. A half distance pit stop seems like a strange time to be taking a pit stop. But
When you got 2 compulsory pit stops, so I guess he's going to try to split the second half of the race into 2 shorter stints.
the jury's out on that one, man, but I'm not sure.
Ben Thompson just in reference to our douche conversation saying, where's this convo going, boys? Which I must admit, when Stairs brought up his mother,
he's got a penalty. He's got a penalty for his troubles.
He has.
No, nasal douche. Nasal douche.
You hasten to clarify.
Oh, it's just the most. I mean, I'm sure a vaginal douche is pretty disgusting, but a nasal douche is yeah. We'll leave that there.
Yeah, goodness. You said that's when the first time you realised both nostrils were connected. I remember the first time, you know, when you laugh when you're eating something and something goes up the back of your sinus.
I've never had that actually happen.
Really? Oh, it's the most distressing, painful, because you have to figure out a way to get it out.
Well, you know that trick that they say to get rid of hiccups to go upside down and drink water?
Yeah.
Don't do it if you've ever tried it, because that gets that weird feeling where, of course, the water goes up the back of your nose, and it's a horrible feeling.
Yuck. I've always found drinking while blowing air out of my ears, if that makes sense, when you hold your nostrils and try and if your ears need popping, you do that, but you drink at the same time.
The cure is worse than the disease, I think, in that respect.
I don't know. It depends on your hiccup. My partner gets some shocking hiccups.
Shockers?
I have to cover my ears. They're the most pitchy,
really?
Loud. Yeah, they're very annoying hiccups. Said as the person that has to listen to them, not the person who's actually going through them. But you know.
Capful of vinegar is Ben Thompson's little tip for hiccups. I can't say I get them much as an adult, so.
No, I can't remember the last time I got hiccup actually.
But this battle is just to, take your attention back to the race itself.
Oh, goodness, we are watching a race.
Hans Brunswick, who managed to get that position back through the pit stops, is coming under pressure again from Lockie Burke, who I think is sizing up for a move into turn 1 here. He thought better of that one, but the Hans Brunswick train is resumed. And I think these guys have definitely got another turn of pace here. It'll be interesting to see how this goes towards the back end of this second stint, because certainly towards the back end of the first stint, the cars behind appeared to have a bit more pace, and Hans was a bit more prone to error.
And Lachlan Burke on the back of Hans Brunswick going into this.
Oh, was there contact there?
I
the rears were all locked up, and the back wanted to overtake the front there, Madbird.
I reckon there was almost contact, but in avoiding the contact, Lachlan probably stamped on the. I keep saying Lachlan.
That's Constantine it up. And look at Corey McFarlane, who I mentioned it was in 10th a moment ago. He's making the move there up into 7th place. So he's completing a terrific recovery drive. And now Lockie Burke is going to be looking in his mirrors as much as he's looking in front there. So Zach Baker's lost that position. It's all tightening up here in the back end of the top 10.
They were nearly too wide in double. They were nearly all 4 of them were too wide going through that last corner, as they all took differing lines over that curb. And as you say, Constantine up, Zach Baker falling off the back a little bit actually, as Corey McFarlane wrestled his way. Oh, that was definitely contact.
That was a big front to rear bit of contact there for Lachlan Burke into the back of Hans Brunswick, and I think he's lifted out of the throttle so he didn't take advantage. But what that has done is given Corey McFarlane an excellent run. He gets the position on Lockie Burke, and he gets the position on Hans Brunswick with a terrific run down the inside of the final corner.
Yeah, Hans Brunswick obviously disadvantaged by that contact, but Corey McFarlane had no such qualms as he threw himself down the inside at the last corner. Zach Baker now attacking Lachlan Burke, who has fallen off the back, but these 4 just seem to be inseparable. Alex Cattle, who was part of this battle, is now a solid 7 seconds behind.
Well, I think he's being held up by Benjamin Dahlia. They're still occupying the same part of the racetrack. Alex Cattle, who appeared to lift out of the throttle and let Benjamin Dahlia through, because they thought maybe he had a better chance of fighting Zach Baker, who's now 6 seconds up the road, as you can see.
That was
Zach Baker,
dramatic camera angle.
So it's not quite worked out for the AWG cars, languishing down there in 9th and 10th.
No, it hasn't. And Hans doesn't seem to have the pace to live with Corey McFarlane, who's now second up the road.
Yeah, well, Corey McFarlane, I think, was well out of position for the kind of pace that he brought to the table.
Did not qualify particularly well.
I don't think he'll improve on 5th there because Kurt Stenberg is about 10 seconds in front of him. So it's Dayne, Ethan and Colin, and then Kurt Stenberg. So the top 4 in championship order, that will only solidify those positions. But it's all sheep stations going on here for 6th, 7th and 8th. I think Hans Brunswick has got a lot of work to do to try and hold on to these 2 positions.
I reckon this will be a very long 18 laps for him to hold on to this 6th position.
Yeah, I think he'll be banking on another good pit in and out, try and get a little bit of an undercut. Now I think there's a bit of a move going on here between Dahlia and Cattle.
Swapping back.
Cattle's back in front.
So, yeah, interesting.
Are they working together? I think they're holding each other up.
Yeah, I feel like they're not like slipstreaming each other up the road or anything. They're losing time in comparison to those ahead of them. Now 7 seconds behind Zach Baker, who's at the tail of that pack. So definitely not working well for him. Aiden Sykes, we're still waiting.
Well, no, the charge has been going on for the best part of 6 laps now, and here it is.
He is catching up to Termo.
Oh, you watch.
He's within a second of Termo, it must be said.
Well, he's been lapping about a second a lap faster than Termo, so as far as that goes, I don't know that he's got too many more options because Benjamin Dahlia is 17 seconds up the road. So I think Termo's really the only car he can realistically get in front of without some sort of problem there. No, that was all in the plan. That was all in the plan from
That's part of the charge. Excellent.
Actually did well to hang on to that, I must say. I've seen quite a few drivers do that and come completely off the racetrack. Did you know, Madbird, that gardening at night is good for the soul?
Is it? He looks confused. He's not sure where he's up. No, he's gone upstairs. He's got his watering bucket. We're talking about our Alistair's housemate here. Just doing some nighttime gardening.
I was speaking with his partner about nighttime gardening, and we agreed that sun is an important part of what plants need to grow.
You know, she's learning all sorts of things about our lovely friend Aaron. Yesterday, when we were gathering to play some games.
Sykes is in the pits. Sorry to cut across you there, Madbird, but Aiden Sykes is in the pits.
I forgot there was a second compulsory pit stop. So Aiden taking his very early.
This is a planned stop, and also the TTR car there.
Which one is that?
Which is Kurt Stenberg. So he's elected to pull the trigger first before Colin Warren.
Kurt trying to do the opposite, maybe get an undercut on Colin
Hans
Warren.
Brunswick's in, so is Zach Baker.
A veritable deluge of cars into the pits.
A deluge indeed.
It's all accounted for, says It Is I, in reference to Aiden Sykes. So all according to Keikaku.
There's Brandon Dostal there.
Translator's note, that means plan. As it looks like there's a bit of lag issues going on for the car ahead of him, which is Ben Hall. Who seemed to sort of disappear and then reappear on the track right in front of Brandon, which is disconcerting to say the least. Kai Jones DNF'd at some stage. Not sure when that happened.
Yeah, so just we didn't see exactly what happened, but we have got these pit stops. I think we're about to have them all kind of play out, so that's probably our focus at this stage as we watch the Luke McHugh, Brandon Dostal battle. But I'm very interested to see whether Lachlan Burke hangs on to that 4th place, or 5th place it will be once it all kind of shakes out, or whether Hans Brunswick is able to... whether he's able to affect the overtakers again. But we've got the race leader in the pits, I believe, so we'll see if we can catch up with him.
Well, he'll have plenty of breathing space.
There he is, Dayne Warren. So just having to avoid Benjamin Dahlia, who's also come in. So it looks like he got the pit stop ahead of his teammate Alex Cattle, who's still on the racetrack. So that'll also be something to keep your eyes on as we see the Napa car just staying on the lead lap there.
And that's the that's how big the Colin Warwick is in the pits. I was going to say he still comes out ahead of Colin Warwick, but that's because
I was to say the effective lead lap, because yeah, he has actually gone a lap down to Ethan, who hasn't stopped yet.
Yeah, Ethan 27 seconds up the road from Dayne, so the pit delta about 32 seconds or thereabouts.
In fact, Ethan's now pitting
So
from the lead of the race, so it seems like he's just following his brother in more ways than one on the racetrack and in pit strategy tonight. And if Lockie Burke doesn't pit this lap, I say he went a lap down, he didn't go a lap down, he's actually going to assume the race lead if he doesn't pit this lap.
And in fact he doesn't. And so this is actually for position. Dayne Warren all over the back of him. Oh, and I don't think Lachlan is putting up much of a fight if he's able to on those
He
tyres.
led for about 200 metres, but that's enough.
Yep.
I mean, it's not enough to get counted on the lap chart, but it's enough to get counted in our minds.
So this famous charge from Aiden Sykes begins with him going down into 17th place. Actually,
because of his pit stop.
As I say that, up into 16th place ahead of Brap. So I've just I spoke disparagingly.
Kurt Stenberg has got back in front of Colin Warwick through the pit stop. So this is something to keep your eyes on, because I still think Colin has more pace. Colin would have pit later, and I'm surprised actually. He must have taken some pain for having that shorter stop in the first pit stops, which has caused him to drop behind in the second pit stops.
May have also had some damage from that tangle we saw with him and Brandon Dostal. If he forgot to turn off damage when he was coming into the pits, that's an extra few seconds. Who knows? But
Lockie's pitting now from third. Nathan got past.
Almost identical lines through the last corner there from these two. Down into the first corner. Colin looking for the inside.
That's
as
a bit
Kurt
wide.
goes a little bit wide. Yep.
I think he saw that move coming. I think there was going to be one down the inside, regardless of whether the room was there, I think. Oh, 2 weak wheels over that curb, and he's bounced over them.
Looks like Lachlan Burke coming out into 8th behind Hans Brunswick.
Quite some way behind. Hans Brunswick, I think, is actually battling Zach Baker now.
Yeah, Zach Baker having gotten those positions through the pit stops and up into 6th place. So
wow, strong showing there from Zach Baker as we cut back to this battle over 3rd and 4th place. This final spot on the podium as Colin Warwick and Kurt Stenberg duke it out. This is all basically... This is a sprint to the finish now, because they've completed their 2 compulsory pit stops. I think there was a little bit of a bump there. Kurt Stenberg's getting better drive on the outside of the racetrack, and they're going to have to watch out for Aiden Sykes, the man on a charge.
Made his 3rd pit stop.
That seems a bit unplanned, doesn't it?
It does. Is that part of the charge?
Yeah, there's a shame, because he was actually in 11th, or looking like he could get an 11th place.
He's going to get in the way of this battle, I'm telling you that right now.
Well, he's going to have fresh tyres at least.
Going to charge his way into the midst of this battle. Hopefully he gets out of the way.
Oh, it's such a tricky spot to try and get out of the way.
Not too distant. Oh, as they both dive down the inside. He's actually done quite well there to run just very wide at turn 6.
Yeah, that was well done there from the man on charge, Aiden Sykes, as we've got this battle continuing. So Dayne Warren leads the way, Ethan Warren in 2nd place quite comfortably. This is the disputed position over the final spot on the podium, and Kurt very much defending. He can't pull it up in time though, and a perfect cutback from Colin Warwick to seize the advantage in this battle. He's very tight on the inside line. That's going to give Kurt an opportunity to try and drive around the outside, and if he can just stay there and put his nose in, he's got a chance. There's a yellow flag somewhere. They're not allowed to pass. There's a yellow flag. There it is. It's Brap who's gone off the racetrack. That might have just saved Kurt a little bit because he had his nose in front. That's interesting. Oh, he's got 2 wheels in the grass there. He's not got a good run into the bowl. And I think he's managed to get away with that one because Colin didn't take advantage of that.
Oh, Colin up the inside coming out of turn 6 though. They're going to be side by side all the way down this back straight, down this dramatic dip in the track's elevation. They dip out of sight, and Colin actually in the lead as they come down into this last corner, but Kurt's going to go all the way around the outside, has much better drive. Colin, oh, as he cuts across the front of Colin, nearly took his nose off. Colin manages to avoid that one, just dab on the brakes to avoid it, and Kurt holds on to that 3rd place coming through turn 1 and covers him off before he can get alongside for the S's.
scintillating stuff here in the Automobilista Supercars Championship. There's all sorts of stuff going on in our other screen. Side-by-side action between Hans Brunswick, who seems to have had a bit of a rejuvenation in this battle. He's back at the front of the kind of the 6th, 7th, 8th battle. As Lockie Burke, maybe he's had a mistake or two. He's dropped quite a few car lengths back as we rejoin this battle for the podium.
And Colin all over the back of Kurt Stenberg once again. Seems to have better straight line speed down this back straight. Gets a good slipstream as well. Does not manage to sneak up the inside on this occasion. Has to remain behind. Try to look for an opportunity maybe into turn 1, but there's nothing there for him. The door is closed. Kurt wedges himself in the opening and will not let him through.
I think Colin has just kind of lost a little bit of his advantage that he had earlier on, because he's not quite able to make the move stick like he was earlier in the race. Maybe Kurt's picked up the pace a little bit.
Maybe less fuel, I guess, in the car.
It's one of those things. If you've got the pace and you rapidly catch up to someone, you kind of have to get the move done straight away. Big inside move here from Colin. Kurt sees him coming and gives him the room, and they're going to have another drag race down the hill towards the final corner.
So they've had a bit of practice at this. Kurt seems to usually get the best run out of the last corner in this position because he can go around the outside. And in fact, Colin almost behind him coming into the last corner. They're going to bump just slightly coming through the last corner onto the start-finish straight. And Kurt, a little bit of a bump to the rear quarter of Colin Warwick, going for the widest line possible, trying to drive around the outside of Colin, who takes the tight defensive line.
He's got it.
And he's got it.
Yeah, that was very, very well done. Kurt, on that final corner, was just all crossed up on the curb, and I think he had to get out of the throttle. That cost his straight line speed all down the pit straight. And I thought he was going to be able to drive around the outside of Colin around turn 1 like he did before, but Colin did a very good job, considering how tight he was to the inside, of not letting Kurt go around the outside of him again. So it's not over, of course, because Kurt is fighting back as they come around turn 6, and he's going to have a pretty decent slipstream on the way down this hill. He might have a dive, and I think he's going to prove me right. He's not making that corner. He's completely exiting stage left. He's very tight on the brakes, so he tried a little bit too hard on that one, and I think that may well have decided the position for now. Yeah,
that's job done, I think. And he'll get a nice big flat spot for his troubles. That was a big lock-up, so we can now focus on this battle. Oh, which is showing Hans Brunswick going wide at the final corner there, so we'll keep eyes on the timing screen to see whether he got a track cut there, because this might play into some of these results in the back end of this race, whether any of them get track cutting penalties. I'm amazed we haven't seen more track cut penalties so far. Over 41 laps, I would have expected at least a few. We saw a drive-through for Kai Jones, I'm seeing in the chat, which was why he DNF'd, so maybe that was due to track cuts, I'm not sure. Well, it doesn't look like Hans actually got a track cut for that, because he's registering a third sector time. It's so inconsistent. It like you can throw yourself all the way over the curb, off the other side, and then rejoin across the cones, and it's fine. You dip a couple of tyres onto the curb, and it says, nah, you're taking the piss, mate. So. But I'm surprised. Kurt's got, it seems like he's got Kurt, I meant Hans. That's the Germanic names. He's got a rejuvenated kind of pace. Is Kurt Germanic? Maybe like Scandinavian Germanic. Yeah, I guess Stenberg is quite, you know, if not Germanic, then Norman. I can imagine that my German dad probably had a cousin called Kurt. Kurt. I don't know, his name is Ulf, which is a Scandinavian name. So I think it was fashionable in the 50s in Germany to give people... Wolf meaning wolf, presumably? To give people Scandinavian names. I don't know, actually. I reckon it'd be wolf. Would be wolf, surely. That was his way of getting people to pronounce it when they couldn't pronounce his name. It's like, what's that? Alf? It's like, oh my god, can you say wolf? Yeah, we'll just take the W off of it. Well, Alf. Ulf is derived from the Old Norse word for wolf. Oh, I did not See, know. Ulfr. I learned something. There you go. What does Fred mean? Oh, you know, dickhead. My dad's other name. Well, Fritz, technically, isn't it? Well, Fritz, which is short for Friedrich, which is another way of saying Frederick, which is basically Fred. Fred name. We're discussing this with 4 laps left to go in this race. A little bit of traffic that Hans has to negotiate. That is awkward. It got him way off track, off the racing line, and Zach Baker is going to try and capitalise round the outside here. That was terrible timing for Hans Brunswick.
it's an absolute do if you do, damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of moment for the people trying to get lapped there, because there's really nowhere to go because the corner goes one way then the other. Hans has done an amazing job there to hold on to the position. It's not over yet, of course, but I thought for sure he was going to lose the position in that exchange.
Yeah, Zach Baker would be spitting chunks in that helmet. He'd be very upset. He gets an awkward run over the curb.
He's going to come under pressure from Lockie Burke here.
Burke, yeah, coming up behind him. Frederick, by the way, meaning peaceful ruler. So was your dad a peaceful ruler of the household?
And a wolf.
Ah, yes. Very good. A peaceful ruling wolf. Former Porsche factory driver in the 60s was Kurt Arens.
Yeah. We're
reliably informed by Luke Rosella. Zach Baker, though, seems to have given him a bit more impetus. He's got a fire under him now.
Someone lit it under him.
Right on the back of Hans Brunswick, who looked like he put the anchors on a little bit there. Looked like that was a lot slower through turn 6 than he probably needed to go. As Zach Baker dips a couple of tyres on the grass on the exit, trying to get a good run down into the last corner. Has a sneaky look, but he's too far behind. That would have been one hell of a dive. So he's going to reset, and he's still right behind him. Good run through that last corner. Could go for the inside, looks at it, but thinks better of it once again. Just trying to force Hans Brunswick into a mistake. Hans with a little bit of sideways lock there through turn 1. So those tyres may be starting to cry enough.
Oh. I thought I saw the race leader coming into the pits, but it was just a strange line over the curb. But Dayne Warren has begun the final lap of the race.
And meanwhile, we're watching this battle for 6th.
Oh,
that
again,
was rude.
Hans gets served again.
Oh,
he
once
got
again.
served by Lockie, and it's going to have the same effect.
Oh, no.
That's what Lockie did to Hans a moment ago, or a few laps ago, but it ended up costing both of them the position. In the end, it's cost Zach Baker more than anyone. Lockie Burke is going to try and go side by side with Hans Brunswick.
Serves him out wide. That might actually help Zach Baker out, who's now got the inside on Hans Brunswick. Down into the first corner, but Lockie Burke stamps on the anchors.
Zach Baker, what are you doing?
Oh my goodness. Well, I think Lockie Burke was a lot slower than he was expecting him to be going into turn 1. Was probably concentrating too much on Hans Brunswick.
Dayne Warren, well done. Ethan Warren, well done. Back on this. Well, this has fallen apart for
Zach
Baker, and so he's going to finish behind Lockie Burke.
Hans Brunswick down into 8th place, so must have some damage maybe.
And Kurt Stenberg is going to come across the line to finish 4th after losing that position to Colin Warwick. A great podium for Colin. Fought hard for that one. Got the undercut, lost the position through the second round of pit stops, and then fought back to get that position. And then Kurt Stenberg, a hard-fought 4th. Corey McFarlane, the recovery drive of the night, I would have to say, after
ended up only
track
a second and a bit behind Kurt Stenberg, actually. So
yeah, that was a costly mistake Kurt made when he went very deep at that final corner. Lockie Burke, well, 6th place. He was a little bit lucky there with the incident there between Zach Baker and Hans Brunswick. So Hans Brunswick ends up 9th for his troubles. He dropped behind Benjamin Dahlia, can you believe, who was languishing down there with his teammate Alex Cattle for the longest time, but looks like he had a bit more pace than Alex in the end in that final stint, because Alex ended up about a minute off the pace. Wondering if he had a spin or something. He rounds out the top 10. He's crawling across the line now, wondering
maybe low on fuel. Yeah, and Termo coming across in.
Well, that's into the warm-up lap, I believe. There. Yep. So we had then Termo, Steve Warwick in 12th place, Cameron Parrott in 13th, Benjamin Hall, I should say, Brandon Dostal, Aiden Sykes.
The charge never eventuated.
Well, the charge was hindered by an extra pit stop, I think, and then we had Kai Jones. Brap, the last finisher, and then Kai Jones, Stenny, Dane Liccardo, and RSM Latino are unfortunate DNFs tonight in race number 1. Cripes, indeed. That was race 1, Mad Bird. We've got another one to go, so do not go anywhere. Or if you do go anywhere, go right now and get yourself a fizzy drink or something.
Bit late now, Luke. I want 2 clean cars to finish, says Luke Rosella. Bit late now, Luke. Berkey didn't need to pass Hans there. Well, I mean, he didn't need to, but the opportunity was
That's
there.
racing.
Why would he not overtake him?
Yeah, give it a go.
A valiant effort.
I think I'd need to see it again to evaluate exactly what happened there. It was all happening very quickly.
Great job, Aiden. Well, he finished the race, which is more than can be said for Kai Jones, Stenny, Dane Liccardo and RSM Latino. Obviously, some of them not their fault, but nevertheless, still finished ahead of Brap, so wasn't dead last. Good charge.
Good charge.
About as much charge as an early 2000s electric car.
Well, I suppose so.
What were those little things that they always used to make fun of in Top Gear?
The smart cars?
Nah, but they weren't smart cars. They were the same sort of thing. Like, they were a tiny little electric thing.
Like a Nissan Leaf or something.
Nah, they were... I always remember it, but I can never remember the name of it.
Discovered a YouTube channel that reminded me a lot of kind of Jeremy Clarkson, James May, Richard Hammond, Top Gear of the kind of late 2000s, the kind of their heyday. Where they kind of do silly things, and it was they put Formula One tires on a Caterham, like not a F1 Caterham, I mean like a kit car Caterham,
yeah,
to see if it had more grip, and they were just like driving it around, like can't get the tires warm enough, so they come out to their shopping centre car park and they put tyre blankets over it. People are like, what?
Oh, Lord.
And they were in Poland or something. I guess this is where they're allowed to have slick tyres on a road, and then. There's these people speaking Polish to them, and they've just subtitled it with obviously not what they're saying. There's this like old woman saying, you've got Formula One tyres. you need some tyre blankets or something like that.
Very good.
Good channel.
That sounds like Top Gear of the mid 20.
Yeah, before they got
2000s.
like too over scripted. They're kind of their heyday.
Gee whiz! Thank you, Rhodey. Our brains trust in the
G-Wiz.
chat. The Gee Whiz cars.
Wasn't the Hammerhead Eagle eye thrust?
No. Also an incredible vehicle, but
Yeah.
oh
It
my
passed
goodness.
the crash test with flying colours, Madbird.
Gee whiz, you'll recognise it when I
He's
show
looking
it
it
to
up.
you.
Oh, I'm sure I will.
That thing.
Oh, gee whiz.
Exactly.
That's what people say when they see it. Go on, show
That thing.
the viewers.
That thing.
Mm.
Will it focus?
It's not good with the close-ups, is it?
No. But anyway, it's an ugly little two-door. I wouldn't even call it a hatch, really. There's barely enough room for the two seats, but
Driven Media Game Over's got it on the live chat. So that's the YouTube channel, Driven Media, which I recently discovered, and I think that's a treasure trove. And it's a good format because there's the kind of stories that made up Top Gear, those kind of segments would work as individual YouTube videos, and so they've kind of invented the format, but then they actually didn't have the best platform for it in the days of TV. Not that it hindered them particularly much.
So the Gee Whiz, also known as the Rev-I, was manufactured between 2001 and 2012. By late 2013, they had sold about 4,600 vehicles worldwide, which doesn't seem like an incredible amount over 12 years.
I mean, it's not very big, so storage is an issue.
No. You could fit a few of them in a container.
I mean, charging is an issue in this day and age where they're a bit more mainstream.
Yeah, I can't imagine that there was much in the way of EV parking in the early 2000s. So Driven Media was that YouTube channel.
Yes,
Excellent. I'll
give it a look after you finish watching this.
Obviously,
stream.
Don't you go anywhere.
23 laps to go. So that's 23 laps. That's the distance. That's the time in last race when Aiden Stykes began his charge. So he'll have to begin that charge a bit earlier.
Perhaps they meant second half of the night, not of the race. So we're technically still in the second half of the night. So the opportunity for a charge does.
Yeah, but
does still exist.
The second race is half the distance of the first race, so that would have surely started towards the second half of the first race anyway.
Yeah,
because we're now 2/3 of the way through our racing laps for the night.
Maybe the last quarter of the first race. So he made his third pit stop. Maybe he thought that the compulsory pit stop for the second race could be served in the first race.
But not the case.
You
think he's got it out of the way?
He's
already done 3 stops for the night.
That's done. 16th in this race, but I'm gonna blow him away next race when I don't need a pit stop.
I actually like that idea.
Of having
make it like you have 3 compulsory pit stops to
over
take
the weekend.
over the entire entirety of the 2 races, and
I
you
like
could
that.
take all 3 of them in the first race if you wanted to.
And then just cruise through for the entire second race.
It's not that different to a tyre allocation. Well, it is actually, because slightly more worn-out tyres is a much smaller disadvantage to having an extra pit stop to take in a single race. But I
reckon try that.
throw it.
If the admins are listening, which I know they watch these back, so there you go.
Exactly.
There's
they probably skip through this. They watch it all together and they talk over us.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Into him.
if you are watching, the format that I enjoyed was, I don't know, I think it was the year before last where they had to use a hard tyre at one point, and
I liked that. I
that
think we did
really
that.
threw a cat amongst the
That was
pigeons.
at the Darwin Triple Crown, I think. We had that, and it was so you could choose to use your hards in
Just
the.
they neglected to tell us before, so we had to figure it out.
we thought that people's setups were just wildly wrong for certain.
I thought Dayne Warren had forgotten how to drive. Turns
That
out he
too.
just had hards on, and everyone else was driving on softs.
That'll do it. Have you seen about the new qualifying format for next year?
I read something about tyres, and someone said it wasn't a huge change, so I didn't really read into it anymore.
Basically, Q1 you have to use hards, Q2 you have to use mediums, Q3 you have to use softs. So
I don't really know that that's going to change anything.
no, that's basically the consensus.
That's going to stop variability.
Yep. If anything, it's going to reduce variability because you won't have the faster teams using a slower tyre to try to save a faster tyre for the race and stuff, and you're basically you're going to have the same order of cars. You're just going to have the faster teams on the faster tyres.
The fundamental problem with racing is that we arrange them on the grid in starting order from fastest to slowest, and then we're surprised when it's a boring race.
We're surprised when it happens that way, that the fastest people tend to stay at the front.
But I mean, the thing that I like about Q3, if you made Q3 instead of a 10-minute session. What are you pointing at?
I'm pointing at you because you're about to make a good point.
If you, instead of making it a 10-minute session where everyone does as many laps, do a top 10 shootout
There he got
for
there.
Q3 in F1. I know people say, it's only good if it's like during a special event, but I don't know. I think
Nah, do it.
I like the variability. If it rains or something, then you get a completely mishmash grid.
At the very least, try it at Monaco or something, because qualifying there's a shit show anyway. So you might as well
do it at Monza.
Oh, they'd love it. Monaco, though, I can imagine a shootout working well at Monaco. It's you only get your one hot lap, so everyone's pushing as hard as they can. The walls are right there.
They're doing like how they do the sprint race, and they've had to stop calling it qualifying because it's not qualifying.
It's not qualifying.
And now they
qualifying.
don't even call you the pole sitter if you win the sprint. It's basically just an extra race.
Yep.
But how they have the sprint qualifying, the sprint race, at a number of events throughout the year, just have the top 10 shootout at a number of events throughout the year. Not at everyone, but like say for 6 rounds of the year, you have a top 10 shootout.
And then, you can have your sprints at some races, you can have your regular qualifying, and you can have your shootouts at some races. So, I like that idea. Mix it up. It's all like you're already only putting the sprints in 3 weekends of the year. What's to stop you from putting a different qualifying format in another 3 weekends of the year?
I think it says something that we've had more or less the same qualifying format unchanged since about 2006. And that's because it doesn't really need much changing. The main thing they've done is because they got rid of in-race refueling, they changed the rule where you had to qualify with your fuel load on. But the Q1, Q2, Q3 thing is largely unchanged.
Well, and this year they've taken away the tyres you do Q2 on are the tyres you have to start the race in, which to me is stupid.
It favoured the top teams, though. I think that was the reason.
Yeah, because they were fast enough to use mediums or whatever. Yeah, but it's reduced. That's reduced variability.
But it's interesting. Oh, what was the worst one? They had the aggregate qualifying.
The elimination
shootout.
thing.
I think it was a shootout aggregate qualifying where you had 2 laps for qualifying, an aggregate of those 2, and you had a shootout for the entire 20 cars, which was actually great. It created one of the best races of all time in 2005 in Suzuka when it rained towards the end of the session when the faster guys were setting their lap time. So Alonso, Schumacher, Raikkonen were all in like 17th, 18th, 19th. And all the slower guys who'd set times when the racetrack was dry ended up on pole.
So that's what you want. Put the sprinklers on. Mr. Walsh is saying 2 races. Yes, so we've got a second race, 23 laps with 1 compulsory pit stop.
And it's night.
This is qualifying for it, and it is Perth Supernight.
Now, I'm sorry we've talked over it, but Dayne Warren has set the fastest lap time so far. Ethan Warren's got a banker in straight away this time.
Good decision, and Corey McFarlane more where we expect him to be, currently in 3rd place, although he's just been displaced by 4 thousandths of a second by Alex Cattle, so very tight there in the top 4.
So Hans Brunswick, Colin Warwick, Steve Warwick and RSM Latino, the only drivers not to set times yet.
So it's another 10-minute session. We waffled through about 3.5 minutes of it. Good work, us.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm interested in the fact that Colin Warwick is still sat in the pit lane, so he hasn't set a time yet. He's just come out now. So maybe he was dealing with some admin stuff.
I reckon I saw him on track before, but he got a track cut through the last corner, he didn't actually set a lap time.
So out of position, Kurt Stenberg in 6th place. That's a bit of a surprise. Alex Cattle's done a terrific lap. He's up in 4th.
Very, very.
Steve Warwick inside the top 10 in 8th. That's something to be to be commended. Lockie Burke, I don't think we've seen the best of him, and definitely not Hans Brunswick. 13 seconds off the pace there in 17th. That's not his best effort. He's
definitely still got a good lap to put in, surely.
He's tilling the grass on that lap.
Down in 13th place for all the Aiden Sykes watchers out there.
Let's see what Kurt can do. Does he improve as the server momentarily freezes there?
So Corey McFarlane currently only, oh goodness, he is very, very close to Ethan Warren. Yeah,
a couple of hundredths or so.
So
if that.
Very, very nice lap time. More representative of what we expect from Corey McFarlane.
Kurt will not be dusting out the fountain pen to write home about this lap. It's
and
well
into the
off.
Pits,
He's
indeed.
into the pits. He probably wasn't in lap anyway. So we are going to follow Colin Warwick on what is hopefully his first flying lap. He's got a bit of traffic to negotiate there. There are some really dark spots on this racetrack.
There really are. Not a great second time for Colin Warwick, and he's caught up to Aiden Sykes in
that's no good.
The apex of turn 6.
He's on a charge though, so nothing to worry about.
And 6 tenths off the pace is Colin Warwick, which would actually still be good enough for 4th, at this stage.
He'll be the last man to set a time, and Kai Jones also, well, second last to say. Kai Jones is not set a time, but he has not come out of the pits.
Oof, another server hiccup here, but it didn't actually affect his lap time. So 5th in the end for Colin Warwick, so
not bad.
Kurt Stenberg still down in 9th.
I'm impressed with Corey here.
And Hans Brunswick up into 8th, so Hans obviously has put in a decent lap. Kurt Stenberg would be wanting to improve from 9th place, I would expect.
So he's been shuffled well down the order by a lot of pretty decent times, and he's on an out lap now, so see if we can pick up anyone else setting quick times as well. But there's no purple sectors so far from anyone on the track.
Very impressed with Corey McFarlane. That is very, very close to being second on the grid.
And Alex Cattle, I mean, I know that we probably haven't seen the best of some of these guys yet, but you know, he's put his car there, and it's up to them to try and displace him. So I think he's a man who definitely has some improvement. Colin Warwick has just dropped him down to 5th, so Colin going for a multi-lap run in this case, and that's working out well for him.
So Kurt starting a hot lap. He would want this to be a pretty good one. There's only 3.5 minutes left in this session. He's currently sitting in 9th place, 1.5 seconds or 1.4 seconds off the pace. So about to come through the first sector split, we'll get an idea of whereabouts he's sitting. He's up by his personal best by 2 tenths.
Two wheels on the grass.
Down by about 3 tenths. So at the moment, that'd be good enough for second, but he will obviously lose a bit more time over the course of the lap. One would expect anyway.
Yeah, 1.4. He was definitely a lot closer than that in the first qualifying session. So we definitely haven't seen his best.
Currently so he would be in 3rd if the lap ended now. Coming through the last corner, up onto the curb. Will that count as a track cut? No is the answer to that question.
He improves by 8 tenths of a second. So good job there from Kurt Stenberg. I think he will probably come in.
Ethan Warren's improved as well. He's now 2 tenths behind his brother.
Yeah, so the form book not changing there, but I'm interested to see whether there is a huge discrepancy between the order we saw for the first qualifying session and the second qualifying session, given this one is at night and the other one is at was in the day, in the full sun. So does that have an impact?
It would mess with your braking zones a bit. You'd not be looking at the same reference points as you were going into corners. It is pretty well lit for because they don't like forcing people to use their headlights because it can cause a lot of lag issues for some people. So the track is pretty well lit, but it's still different to look at when you're in the cockpit, obviously.
Let's have a look at the onboard here. Well, this part of the track's well lit, but you don't really need it to be because it's the straight. You kind of you dip in and out of the light. Like, that's quite dark there. Definitely towards turn 6, that's the area there. Hans Brunswick still can't improve. Let's see. Oh, he's going to sail wide here. I don't think he's going to improve on this lap either. I hope he's got enough fuel for another lap because he's going to be starting from 10th or worse.
Speaking of dark, that bit off to the right is pretty black.
Corey McFarlane on a lap here. He's looking like he's going to improve, but probably not enough to put him on the front row because those guys have skipped out ahead, Dayne and Ethan Warren, by half a second.
Ethan within a 10th of Dayne Warren.
But Corey may well need to do this to move the goalposts to protect him from those behind. So this is all about solidifying his third place start if he can. Over the curbs, 2 wheels still on the curb. It'll be interesting to see what effect that has. Nothing at all. So half a 10th, he improves by.
Hans Brunswick, all 4 wheels over and off the curb, and it counts as time. So yeah, I really have no idea what the...
it might depend on whether you get out of the throttle or not. I don't
know if AMS is that smart. I don't think it simulates that.
You don't think so?
No, I could be wrong.
Kurt's going to have one more go. I think we'll go on board here, and I really want to see what parts of the track are totally dark and what parts are very well lit. Yellow flag.
That last corner is pretty dark. And then the exit of turn 1, I think, gets a little bit... as he goes a bit wide of the apex.
Wide. We saw Dayne on the inside. I think his qualifying session's done, so he's not going to improve. He's first on a 52.995.
Oh! Very wide there for Kurt, so this is not going to be a banker lap.
Maybe. Oh, yeah, let's have a look at the time. Yeah, he's not that far off his PB, so maybe he wasn't that good on the lap that he did do.
It's very dark as you sort of dip the brakes and go into turn 6, so...
Wide again. I know this isn't his favourite track, even though he's a local boy. WA is the track that he visits when he goes to a real-life race. But as far as driving in the sim, we've asked him this in the past, and he said, no, it's not really my favourite track.
I think it's Hidden Valley's his favourite, isn't it?
He built that track.
Oh, exactly.
They're all going to the driver's favourite next round at Winton.
Oh, yeah, everybody's favourite race. Can't wait to ask them all in the
I don't think we will, because we know the answer to that. So Kurt can't improve, and that's his qualifying session done. Who else have we got potentially able to improve? Doesn't look like there's too many of them actually on the racetrack.
Colin Warwick's still out there, but I think that's a cool-down lap.
That is a cool-down lap from Colin Warwick. Corey McFarlane is in the pits. Ethan Warren is in the pits.
Dayne Warren is on the front straight,
just spectating
outside the pits. Yep,
that's it.
Just watching.
Excuse.
Oh, little bit of reverb on your tummy there.
You could hear that through the stomach, through the microphone, I should say. Not
yes,
stomach.
Very good.
Yes.
That was me stretching.
Yeah, I cut to it, but not quite in time there.
Oh, like. You know.
You're like Teamsters. Can't use cows on film. They've got to use horses.
You can't use real water at the Miami Grand Prix track. You have to use plywood painted like water.
We should get some memes on that other screen.
That is the stupidest.
Made for TV.
It's so.
Context for our viewers there.
The inside of one of the corners for the Miami Grand Prix racetrack, which of course is seeing its first showing this weekend at Miami.
Is it this weekend?
I want to say it's this weekend. I could be 100% wrong. It is a coming weekend anyway. They've got a bunch of boats in a pretend lagoon with without real water, it's just, there we go, we've got a picture of it.
Well, we might. We'll see if we can get it up on the other screen.
Yeah, so it's fake water with real boats sitting in the fake water. Here we go. Just need to, maximize. And then...
So they've just, what are they doing? They're painting blue onto the...
They're painting like water onto just plywood essentially, and the boats are real boats that they've transported in there to make it look like a marina, even though it's not linked to the water at all. I'm actually quite interested to see the track in action, but my god.
I don't know. I saw, I think, a Jimmy Broadbent onboard lap of it. It just seems like every other kind of street circuit, like an Abu Dhabi, like Abu Dhabi is a street circuit, kind of street circuit.
Or like Albert Park is a street circuit. When
But at least Albert Park has grass and walls close to the track that punish you a bit more.
I guess we'll wait and see. We all thought that Baku would be awful, and then Baku's been one of the more entertaining
now it's
tracks.
the jewel in the crown. Monaco eat your heart out.
Yeah.
Every time we go to Baku,
it's incredible.
I'm ready for debris.
So many debris.
There's just so much debris on the track.
And I'm sure we'll be discussing this race at length over the next week.
There's a fantastic mod for AMS for Baku. I recommend it for...
Fantastic. Man, we get much better lit when Live Races is open.
That's true. That's the screen on our right-hand side.
It's very bright. Oh, there you go. It's away. Now it's back. Now it's away. Now it's back. Now it's away.
Now I'm in America. Now I'm in Australia. Now I'm in America.
Here in America, we don't tolerate that kind of crap.
So 23-lap race, Mad Bird. That's going to start shortly in about 20 seconds or so.
F1 taking after the CGI boards vibe in the Supercars broadcast with that marina.
Well, they've had those actually in F1 for a while. I think they just do them better.
The pretend billboards.
Yeah, they've had them. They've had that for ages in F1. They just track them better than Supercars does.
Oh, they didn't for a while. They used to look quite bad. But
they still look bad.
They've improved a lot more.
Supercars looked worse.
Did they?
With their fake billboards.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they weren't great.
I'm always rather impressed with AFL when they have like stats on the oval, like in the wide shots, and like they have it masked in such a way that the players can run like they can obstruct the stats and stuff. Like that's quite smart technology, I always think.
I suppose they're just using a green screen effect for that.
They're just plastering it onto the oval and then anything that moves in front of it.
Because effectively your entire ground is a great green screen. Yeah.
Unless you're in Cairns, in which case it's a sort of brown screen.
So a lot of that advertising, they probably don't bother painting it on the grass anymore. I don't know. I haven't been to a game in real life for a while.
No, I guess it's probably all just, it's just generated onto it.
Probably a lot cheaper. Hans Brunswick in the chat saying, I'm wobbling again. So his performance in that qualifying session wasn't as strong as it was earlier in the night.
No.
Where he started out of 5th place earlier. But
so doubled his qualifying position, but not in a good way.
Well, he can only go up.
Here's the racetrack.
Yeah, so it's a simple little track with a fairly short lap. Only 54 seconds, or 53 if your name's Dayne Warren. Previous poll said it was Dayne Warren. We won't have to update this graphic for next year. Unless
we want to add more iterations of Dayne Warren to it, and just it slowly grows all the way down the screen.
Dayne Warren. Well, it was Sean Allen who was the first person to win a race in this series at this racetrack. Madbird? Sean Allen.
Yes, Sean Allen, of course. Sorry, I was just distracted by... I shared a rather heartfelt post by F1 about Ayrton Senna. Just saying, unique talent, idolised by millions, forever remembered.
Oh, hang on.
# Senna Sempre.
Yep.
And my mum, bless her, replied to it, awesome, with two exclamation mark.
Is that just like a automated response?
I feel like mum just has like a notepad document of these that she just like, if I thought she was smart enough or like computer savvy enough to just copy paste things, she would just copy paste them, no matter what the context was. Anyway, Stez, do you want to take us through the grid?
Yeah, I'll take us through the grid. So Dayne Warren is your pole sitter, and that is quite an incredible run of pole positions that he's got now. I don't think he's been off. Oh, no, Nope.
Oh.
I think we're going to have another go at that. Something was wrong with the server, I
Yeah.
suspect, and so they've decided to reset it.
Something seems to have gone abruptly wrong. We're looking at a fence. Now we're looking at us.
We're still looking at a fence. Now you're looking at us looking at a fence.
I am offended.
Are you offended?
Damn it. I didn't mean to cause offence.
I'm just sitting on the fence.
Here's
There
my
we go.
mum.
Now we get the chance to see.
So here's the nice F1. Oh, that
It's
really
not going to
doesn't.
focus, is it?
Anyway, it had some nice text. There's a nice picture of it, and there's
28 years.
there's my dear mother saying, you can't quite read it, but it says awesome with a double exclamation mark emoji.
We'll take your word for it, I think.
So, thanks, Mum.
So what were the words? Can I just read that for our dear viewers?
What are you trying to read?
What it says about
Ayrton.
it?
A unique talent idolised by millions.
Forever remembered.
Hashtag Sena Sempre.
I suppose it doesn't say that he died. Maybe she doesn't realise.
She knows. I've mentioned it and sent it to her before, and she remembers him dying. She remembers the Hunt Lauder rivalry. Like, I guess it was just that big a news.
Can imagine, like, I suppose if like a multi-champion died now in a race, that would be mainstream news.
I suppose so.
Like if Lewis Hamilton or Sebastian Vettel was killed in a race, that'd be.
Knock
Or
on
if Max Verstappen. Yeah, not.
knock on wood.
Knock on wood. I've
no.
made it happen now. I'm sorry.
No Punterino Jimmer
No Punterino.
into recovery vehicle.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like when Jules Bianchi, who was the last F1 driver who died, when that happened, I feel like that wasn't as mainstream, but like definitely was felt by the fans.
I feel like that didn't get much news at all.
I suppose because he didn't die straight away. He was in a coma for about 7 months or something.
And because he wasn't a known driver, I suppose.
He was known within, like, we knew he was.
He was like Charles Leclerc.
Like Charles Leclerc in his like first year or something. But even in Charles Leclerc's first year, we knew he was going to be something.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
saw that live. That was depressing.
Marco Simoncelli, I saw that race live. That was the last. I think that was the last MotoGP.
That was the helmet, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, the helmet came off.
Yeah.
Yeah. We saw that. And we were like, shit. Well, like you can't. You're still hoping, like, because you don't believe. I don't know. As it seems naive to say, but you don't believe a guy like that can die because he was quite a charismatic Italian guy who was like the life of the party.
Yeah.
And he always did the funniest interviews, and then all of a sudden, like you see his helmet rolling across the ground. Jesus Christ.
Oof. Oh.
And the thing about that is that we didn't know, and they were like it was kind of like the Jules Bianchi thing where the commentators were just talking in hushed tones.
They sort of had a feeling that something bad had happened, but they didn't want to.
But they didn't get the news to announce it. It came up on the screen as like text.
Jeez.
So the commentators found out at the same time as the audience, and they were just like,
That's
oh my
poor.
God.
Yeah.
That's how they chose to announce it. So, yeah, that was pretty shocking.
Hopefully it doesn't happen again.
Well, unfortunately, there's not much you can do in motorcycle racing to make it safer, so it doesn't...
You can not put phone booths and benches on the track. I'm reliably informed by those ads.
And they have done I mean, there was an accident a couple of years ago where a bike kind of flew sideways through a corner and nearly took out another rider, and thankfully just like missed it.
Well,
missed the rider, and they fixed that corner to try to prevent that from happening.
That Sophia Flörsch accident at the Macau Grand Prix, I'm amazed that there was no major injuries from that, because she basically went face first into a tower.
Yeah, that was insane.
And so, I mean, I guess it's testament to the safety of open top race cars with the halo and everything, that she didn't have any serious injuries.
That was before they had the halo, isn't it?
I think that was the first year with the halo, I want to say.
Okay.
I could be 100% wrong. I'll investigate. But
there was a race at Le Mans in 2009. I don't know, you might have seen this crash with Alan McNish, where the car kind of flies through the gravel trap and just kind of hits this wall and just sort of spins, and all this crap comes off it. And you see all the people, somehow, miraculously, no one was hurt in the audience.
By just stuff flying over the fence.
Yeah, and it's like someone could have easily, like a tyre could have come off and just wiped someone out, but through pure sheer luck, no one was badly hurt.
No, there was no halo, you're right. So even, yeah, before the halo, so there was absolutely nothing between, you know, her head and a broadcast tower, essentially. So
that was kind of freak luck, if you like.
Which came second in the 4 hours of Le Castellet European Le Mans Series.
Is that what she's racing
recently.
these days?
A variety of sports cars, I think.
Ooh.
Ooh. Oh, never mind. We just had an error message on our other computer, but it disappeared just as rapidly as it appeared.
Yeah, we've gone back into a warm-up session. So we had loaded up a race session, but it's gone back into a warm-up session. So it looks like whatever the issue is, it continues to be a problem. So just try and see if we've got any word in the Discord or anything like this. A couple of people earlier in the night were having issues joining the server, but no news specifically as to what's causing this delay, Madbird.
No, so it could just be some good old-fashioned AMS issues. It isn't the friendliest of games to run for a large amount of people, it must be said, so can be a little bit dicey. So
yeah, so they're running another warm-up session for another 2 minutes at least. As you can see, cars making their way out of the pit lane while they try and resolve whatever is causing this delay. So just a reminder of your order, Dayne Warren will start on the pole position with Ethan Warren alongside him. Colin Warwick and Corey McFarlane will occupy the second row. Just checking I've got the right session in front of me. Corey, I didn't see Colin actually jump in front of Corey in the end of that qualifying session. Did you see that? Or am I totally forgetting things? Colin jumped ahead of Corey in that.
No, I don't. I thought Corey was still in third place. So well done to Colin Warwick for nicking that at the bud.
And Kurt and Zach on row 3. We've got Alex Cattle and then Hans.
Kurt Spinberg down in 5th place. That feels, I mean, it's only one
That's
position
not fair.
lower
He
than
didn't
he
spin
was.
in that race. He took a very deep line into the final corner.
Very deep.
The Brody Kostecki line.
Nice and deep, Mike.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, well, I watched that clip recently of Dodgeball when they're like, let's have a car wash to raise money. And then, like, they have all this footage of, you know, like beautiful women washing cars in bikinis and stuff, and then it pans across to four pasty white men and a gay black man standing in their speedos and with no customers. Is like the only guy that we've got is that guy with the truck that keeps paying Justin Long, I can't remember the character's name, to wash his hubcaps, and the guy's standing there with his pit bull that's like growling at him as he's like on his knees scrubbing this hubcap, and he's just like fingering his belly button. He's just like, that's it, boy. Get in there nice and deep like. Quality film.
So, It Is I asks, who's the car still in the pit? Well, there's actually quite a few
There's
cars.
a lot of cars in the pit.
Most of them are still in the pits, so it's probably quicker for me to tell you who's not in the pits.
Alex Cattle, Kai Jones, Corey McFarlane. Termo.
Hans Brunswick, Cameron Parrott, Brody
Steen! Hey! We've just realised Brody Steen has joined
we said
the server.
in unison, and we'll see if we can find images to prove this is the case. Maybe that's why we had the delay, so that Brody Steen could get back in. There he is, Brody Steen.
On you, Brody.
Driving for AWG, but with a car that looks nothing like the other 3 AWG cars.
Which isn't a bad thing.
Well, they stand out.
They stand out. They're just... No,
Brody Steen's cars doesn't really have much of a livery at all. It's just white.
I mean, their old ones stood out. I mean, obviously they're not using the Race on Oz colours and everything anymore.
So
but,
Best Cam's Fun Best Adult Dating Site says tick emoji, yellow base emoji, envelope emoji with a love heart on it, and then tick emoji, and then a love heart emoji. So I think
then red lips and mouth, and then mouth and swirling hearts and face.
It's a valuable contribution, and I'll certainly take that into account during this race.
Thanks very much, Best Cam's Fun Best Adult Dating Site ! I'm amazed. We've done so many of these,
We haven't been spammed before.
and we haven't been spammed before.
Well, tell you what, our friend Heath Dixon, he was streaming a race, and he got raided by some guy from Czechoslovakia or from Czech Republic or something like that. And he had a lot of viewers who all came and joined the chat, and they're all speaking Czech in his live chat.
And Heath's like, what's going on?
So what the hell is going on?
Very professional.
Very professional.
Says it is I, yes.
Yes.
If you hadn't gathered from the rest of our commentary, you know, talking about nasal douches.
Well, we've got to fill for time because we're trying to fix an issue which has been
Yeah, sorry for
yet undiagnosed.
Sorry for the delay, crew. Hang with us. We will definitely have a race 2 soon. Hopefully.
Let's see if I can find any.
Unfortunately,
at the in-game chat,
we're at the mercy of the game at this stage. So
look, can we read anything there? Corey McFarlane left the game. Voted to trying to load in. Someone's trying to load in. You keep talking, Madbird. I'll see if I can read that because my eyes are not good enough to see that from here.
Oh, and I'm the one with glasses, so I'll just shuffle myself up a little bit closer to the camera. G'day. How's it going? So, yeah. Yeah. So anyway, my knee's been hurting quite a bit recently, and I'm probably worrying about it more than I should because I've got this sinking feeling that I'm getting old, and that joint pain is a part of it. Do you ever get that?
Well, that's better than the sinking feeling of your coffin being lowered into the grave, Madbird. So you know, better to be over the hill than under it.
Fair enough.
So the delay seems to have been because Colin's game initially was the one that crashed, and then Dayne's game crashed by the looks of what I read. Trying to join. Now Dayne had issues with his game in the first race, so that might be a recurrent issue. That's not good news.
I reckon we had a few of these sort of rolling blackouts in our ARW days, where you know one person would get their issue fixed, and as they'd get their issue fixed, someone else would have an issue, and it would delay the start by a solid chunk of time. Roadie's Racing just saying that's a nice looking beard, Madbird. Thank you, Benjamin Rhodes. I greatly appreciate it. Ben Thompson saying. Best cams is here for the douches.
I don't actually know what's being... Is douches?
I think douches, yeah. Douche is generally used as a naughty word, let's be honest.
What about a nasal douche? I did not know until Mum got that nasal douche what a douche was. I just thought it was like someone who was a bit of a dill, you know, someone who was a bit of a silly billy. Oh, you douche.
Oh, you douche.
Turns out, you know, they're a device used to clean various things.
Did you know, Stairs, perhaps did some obnoxious turd in high school tell you that if calling someone a dude means you're calling them a camel penis?
Is that what dude means?
Well, I was reliably informed by several, I think James King and several others in years 8 and 9, I think. They come up and they'd be like, "Hey, dude," and you'd be like, "Oh, hi, person that never speaks to me outside of this moment. So what are you getting out of this?" And they'd be, "Called you a camel penis." Just very, very good.
Camel penis. Where's my car?
Not something you generally ask camel penises.
Classic movie.
I'm going to Google that, actually. That's been weighing on my conscience for...
why would that have a thing and no other animal has a specific name for their...
Dude meaning...
The dude.
Well, it ain't coming up with anything on Google.
I think you were told a bit of a furphy, I'm afraid.
I reckon I might have been.
Which you've apparently believed for the last 20 years.
I haven't thought about it like that much, you know. Ben Thompson, Madbird is correct. And a nasal douche is a...
Ben thinks it's correct. So you haven't been able to find any confirmation on this, but Ben is...
Well, but no, I think he was saying correct in terms of douche is generally used as an insult and a naughty word.
I know that.
Oh,
but it's not so insulting that it should be censored. by YouTube. But I suppose they're pretty sensitive.
I work for a local council, and you should see the list of words that make your comment be instantly hidden on our Facebook page. It's long and lots of them are very innocuous. Things like saying council will have your comment automatically hidden.
I think that's a bit, that's just
Something like chambers,
ludicrous,
or
really.
mayor, or
golf,
or credit card. You could probably find out which council I work with.
Misappropriated funds.
with those small nuggets of information.
Yeah.
I can hear engines once again.
Yeah, it's another warm-up session.
Another warm-up session. So we're crawling slowly. We're crawling slowly towards a second race start.
Yeah, if you've just joined us, the reason for the delay is because a couple of the competitors have been having issues with their games crashing, and we do try to accommodate as many people as we can, so a restart will be forthcoming, and they're just trying to get everyone into the server and keep them there, at least long enough to get going, long enough to have a race start. And I think, you know, get past the first corner. If your game crashes then I think you're kind of on your own.
You get them all in the cage, and then
you let them loose.
And you let them loose before any of them can, you know, shank one of the other ones. So we've actually got 20 runners in the server at the moment. So
and this is a longer delay than we've normally seen. We don't tend to see them usually take this long. So this is a bit of an anomaly.
Stairs, give us an anecdote.
Oh yeah, give me something. Like what kind of anecdote?
Give us a drinking anecdote.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to think.
Usually you're the one that pitches me into these things, so
that's true.
So I'm getting my own back.
But drinking it.
It doesn't narrow it down, does it?
I don't know. Drinking's not actually that. Well, like there's the times when you go way too far, and usually you can't remember that. So. I don't particularly want to tell those stories. So
somebody else's.
I'm looking for a kind of a mid-range one. Oh, that's hard, isn't it?
It really is.
Because it's not really the drinking that makes the anecdote. It's the thing that happens on the night out while you're drinking.
See, this is like when you say things like, Madbird, give me your favourite anecdote.
When we were in Japan. And actually, no, that's one. I thought of another one. So, like, I knocked over this guy's drink, and I thought, oh, he's going to punch me in the head.
I don't remember this.
I was on my own, because, like, my friends had all gone home. This was midnight 2017, 2018 New Year's.
This was the following one.
I think you might have to wait, Madbird, because we're on the grid.
Damn it.
And we are going to have a restart very shortly indeed. So
I'm so ready for that.
Oh, well, you know, you have to remind me next race, maybe. Because we've actually got cars on the grid, and so we're just gonna try and pick up our pole sitter, Dayne Warren, and we're gonna go through the grid. When the formation lap eventually gets underway, just trying the lock, getting the wheels going.
See the wheels doing a little wiggle there.
Bit of left and right. Dayne actually had an issue with his wheel a few rounds back. Where
so it's not a stupid idea for him to make sure it's working.
Force feedback totally inverted, and so it's into the wall.
He's got a fair lead on the formation lap.
Yeah, he does, but let's get through it because it's a short lap. Dayne Warren in pole. He starts ahead of his brother Ethan Warren, who has been getting better starts and finding his way in front of Dayne quite often in these races, but often Dayne is able to get him back. Colin on third. He had a lap that went a little bit unnoticed for us towards the back end of that qualifying to get him ahead of Corey McFarlane, who had a terrific qualifying session. Kurt Stenberg in 5th place, a bit further back than we thought we might see him. Then we get Zach Baker, who was strong towards the back end of that first race in 6th place. Alex Cattle in 7th place, another good qualifying session there. Hans Brunswick down in 8th, and he's dropped a few spots from where we saw him in the first race. And Lockie Burke, well, we're used to seeing him fighting Hans tonight, and I think they're going to resume that battle. Great qualifying from Termo, and inside the top 10, so very well done from him. Apologies, I couldn't get your window working in time because, well, it's not my job. Steve Warwick in 11th place. Good qualifying from him. Benjamin Dahlia in 12th, and then we've got Cameron Parrott out of 13th for the Maple Leaf Sim Sports car. Flashing his lights there was the car behind Aiden Sykes, who's in 14th. That was RSM... No, it was Brandon Dostal.
Brandon Dostal
who's out,
in front.
Completely out of order. So Brandon Dostal flashing his lights ahead of behind RSM Latino, but ahead on the track at the moment. Brap in 17th, Kai Jones out of 18th, Ben Hall in 19th, and not qualifying, Brody Steen starts out of 20th place.
I reckon he'll have a good run up through the field.
All right.
Ethan Warren actually a bit further ahead of Dayne Warren in the box there. So Dayne Warren's almost penalised himself by giving himself so much of a run up into his grid slot.
So off they go. Again, I think it's a better start from Ethan Warren. Look at him get the whole shot through into the lead. Bit of side-by-side action. Two wheels on the grass there from Kurt Stenberg as he slots in behind Colin Warwick, who's side-by-side with Corey McFarlane.
Almost a carbon copy of the first race, with Ethan Warren getting the job done on his brother in the first sector of the first lap. But we saw Dayne come back at him hard throughout the rest of the race. So obviously Dayne will not be letting that position go easily. Corey McFarlane up into third place ahead of Colin Warwick with a good start. And Kurt Stenberg looking to attack his fellow admin with Colin going very wide there through turn 6.
Yeah, it's almost like it's an advantage to start on the even-numbered grid spots. So second and fourth, both getting ahead of their first and third counterparts.
But it didn't help that Dayne gave himself like a half car length penalty by starting so far back in his box. So might be something he needs to work on.
Well, I don't think it's costing him too much, as he's been undefeated as he goes down the inside. Bit of door-to-door action there between the two brothers. Yes.
And that might actually give Corey McFarlane a look at second place. He's right on the back of Ethan Warren now, going through turn 4.
Not wrong.
Not wrong indeed.
But Corey McFarlane, well, what is he going to do with himself? He doesn't have to recover back from 17th or 18th place. Brody Steen has gone up to 17th.
You took words out of my mouth, yeah.
About to say that, were you? Yep.
Where is Aiden Sykes up into 13th place? So whereabouts did he start, actually?
13th place, so Aiden Sykes is
up one position.
14th place, yeah.
Well, the charge may have started, but, well, I guess the charge is just simmering.
Well, you know, he's not gone backwards.
He's looking at Steve Warwick very closely, I might add, down the start-finish straight, so the charge continuing.
A lot of personal best laps as they get the tyres up to temperature, but a lot of them mired in traffic, as you can see in that shot.
A bit of side-by-side there behind them between Cameron Parrott and Brandon Dostal. At the front, Ethan Warren 0.4 of a second behind Dayne Warren, and Corey McFarlane just falling off the back of Ethan Warren a little bit, about a second between the two of them.
Good start from Benjamin Dahlia inside the top 10. He's gone up 2 spots. Most of the inside of the top 10 haven't moved much. What have you spotted?
Kurt Stenberg just got that position done on Colin Warwick by the looks of it. So Kurt Stenberg up into 4th place. And Colin having lost 2 positions already, and we're only just completing lap 3. Dayne Warren sets the fastest lap, surprising no one. And Colin has not given that position up, that's for sure. But Kurt currently the one sitting in 4th place. And Corey just getting away from them. These two are going to be focusing far more on battling each other, which is going to give Corey a decent run of just... I don't think Corey's got the pace to live with Ethan Warren and Dayne Warren, but he's got the pace to be at least as fast as these two behind him, and they're going to be battling. So I reckon Corey is going to be pretty safe here to bang in some good laps.
This was how Kurt Stenberg got past Colin Warwick, and it was maybe a little bit of a bump and run, a slight nudge maybe down there at turn 6.
Nudge and meander.
Well, it was a bit it was a bit better executed than some of the passes earlier in the first race. He was able to make that one stick.
Wheel disconnected after I finally loaded in, says Dane Liccardo.
That's a shame. So
Night of nothing but gremlins.
It was nice that they tried to accommodate him, but speaking of computer gremlins, a little bit of a glitch there on my screen. I'm sure what's causing that. Yeah, sorry to hear that the gremlins have continued for Dane Liccardo, and unfortunately that means no points for him tonight. Well, I'm not sure if maybe he gets the 25 points for starting the race, or maybe he doesn't, because I guess technically he hasn't started this race. He did start the first race, so I guess he'll get those points, but that'll be cold comfort as Colin Warwick pulls up alongside Kurt Stenberg to have a little bit of a discussion over that position.
Having a good chin wag. They got the windows open. They're holding up the traffic behind them. Zach Baker is actually getting very close to this battle. Colin does get the position done through the last corner. And these two focusing on taking strips off each other has given Zach Baker a good run. And he's actually right on the back of these two as they go through turn 1 and has a perfect front row seat from his front bumper, you can see.
I like that.
Oh, as
Whoa, that was a hairy moment there for Kurt Stenberg. He clouted that curb hard. Got 2 wheels up on the ground. What is going on with that computer? Let's try.
My
and
goodness.
fix that.
Just doing a flicker every now and then. Apologies for technical issues today, everybody.
Yeah, across the board it looks like. We had that for Colin Warwick, I think it was, who said his game crashed, and we also had that happen to Dane Liccardo more than a couple of times, which has put him out for the night. And your computer gremlins, this is your equivalent really of car gremlins in real life racing.
Yeah, we don't have, we don't have engine failures and stuff unless you do something really stupid, but what we do have is, wheel disconnects and internet dropouts and pedal issues. Yep.
Harrison Latino had that pedal issue earlier on. He's tracking along in 19th place. So far, that hasn't plagued him in this race, so hopefully he's got on top of that.
Zach Baker right on the back of these two, so he's got a bit more pace this time around than he did in the last race. He's also not stuck behind. I say stuck behind. He's not. He doesn't have Hans Brunswick, Alex Cattle, and Lachlan Burke to contend with, who are all behind this group.
Yeah, I think they had.
See Alex Cattle just in the background there.
Their poor qualifying sessions just kind of mired them back in the field, and so they were kind of recovering. And now that they've qualified a bit more in a bit more representative position compared to their race pace, then they're able to show what they can do.
Oh, Zach very close to Kurt there, coming through the apex of turn 1.
I feel like this is the strongest we've seen Zach for a number of weeks, so that's very good to see.
It is.
Let's catch a replay. This was Hans Brunswick, who made his way, scythed his way past Alex Cattle there for 8th place, but at some point Alex Cattle has gone back.
I think he just swooped back up the inside,
There you
so Hans went very deep there. That was a very late lunge by the looks of it. I think we saw an almost a carbon copy of that in the first race, someone taking a late dive, going deep and getting cut up the inside by the person they'd just overtaken. So Zach Baker right on the back of Kurt Stenberg now, coming into the last corner.
Oh, what the heck?
Colin Warwick around, Kurt Stenberg around.
That's unusual. That is unlike them.
That looked
Straight
strange.
into the pits.
That looked like a repeat, perhaps, of the issue you were discussing that we had last time we were at this track.
That was years ago.
But it looked like Colin just was coming through the apex, and suddenly his car just pirouetted, and it didn't look as if it didn't look like a natural spin.
Yeah, I definitely need to see that again, because I am. I looked away from the screen at a bad moment, and Colin was a long time trying to get out of the gravel trap to recover that, so I think he's coming to the pits too, but he's down in 17th, 18th place.
Here we go. So he comes in and yep,
whoa,
just touches something that span the car. So
that's different to the curb glitch that saw Jake Maloney off. He went straight off.
The curb glitch would basically lock your steering and send you careening across the track. Colin Warwick also had to wait for people to move past, because there was still quite a lot of battling cars approaching, and just immediately it's almost like he hit like a banana in Mario Kart, just span with no recourse. So that's a damn shame. He's pitted and come back out in 20th place. Kurt Stenberg in 17th
place. Let's see it from his perspective, because very, very unusual. This would have been a huge surprise.
Yep.
That is not some physics. Zach Baker, the beneficiary, who now finds himself in 3rd place.
Yeah, just tagged Kurt Stenberg on the way through, but nothing too bad. So Zach's actually gotten away quite well with that.
Yeah, it's like he's hit some sort of immovable object that's kind of... That is not a...
Oh, g'day, mate.
That's not a... I'm not putting Colin Warwick to blame for that at all.
Oh, goodness me,
putting the circuit to blame. So that is really, really, really unusual.
You got so it was just a little tap from Zach Baker as he went through, but otherwise unscathed, and has now resumed, has now taken 2nd place as Ethan Warren pits.
Someone else has just done exactly the same thing.
Brandon Dostal, the exact same thing at that last corner. So, oh no.
And after no one had that happen in the first race, this is really, really unusual. So Brandon Dostal this is exactly the same thing that happened to
Luckily, no one else got
Warren,
caught up in that.
So that is absolutely not Brandon Dostal's fault at all.
No. So, well, as Dano was saying in the chat, a night of nothing but gremlins. It's just they've chosen the last race to present themselves. So
Very, very unusual.
that's a shame. It isn't a shame for Zach Baker, who's currently sitting in second, or Hans Brunswick, who's currently sitting in third with Ethan Warren having pits. So
Yeah, so Ethan Warren came in on lap 10. So the
Corey
first
McFarlane as well.
Yeah, so they're the first guys in that kind of leading bunch to pull the trigger.
I think Zach Baker might.
Yeah, he has.
As has Dayne Warren, it looks like, because Turmo has taken
leading
the lead.
race.
Where's Aiden
Brody
Sykes?
Steen. Aiden Sykes is in 11th. They're all swapping out because we've got lots in the pits. So we've got Zach Baker, Hans Brunswick in the pits. And so all these cars are kind of cycling through to the front there. So it's all kind of shaking out at this stage.
So Brandon Dostal has the pleasure of seeing the back of Dayne Warren at close range, and actually for position, because Brandon Dostal is, well, he was right behind Dayne Warren on track. Thermo, as you can see, leading the race, but no longer, or well, not very soon he won't be.
Yeah.
And look who's coming around to take the lead. Brody Steen takes the lead of the race. Provisionally, obviously, hasn't had his pit stop, but still, good run from Brody Steen so far, considering he didn't have any running earlier in the night. And Lachlan Burke also has not pit yet, so he is... he's
very different strategy to Hans Brunswick, who we saw in battle a lot in the first race. So they're all completely changing their strategies from... I think what we saw in the first race was quite a simple kind of strategy. What the fuck is going on?
So, it looks as if Kurt Stenberg hasn't actually lost that much time, as we've got him on the screen. You can see there is Hans Brunswick just ahead, with Zach Baker just ahead of him. So, Kurt Stenberg managing to just dive straight into the pits from his accident
Brody's in.
Has helped him quite a lot.
And he's being followed by Lockie Burke.
Oh.
So Dayne Warren is going to come back into the lead.
Drive-through penalty for Ethan Warren. So
that's track cuts.
That must be track cuts, having finally struck.
And actually, we would have seen it happen in that picture because Ethan was coming out of the final corner. And look at the line Dayne took and look at the line Ethan took.
It looks exactly the same, and yet Ethan gets pinged.
A bit of how do you do in the pit lane.
Well, so
Brandon Dostal as well.
So that brings Zach Baker into the podium contention. Once Ethan Warren has taken his drive-through.
Oh, that's a real shame there.
That is a shame. That basically gives Dayne, unless Dayne Warren does the same thing, that's almost a home run there for Dayne Warren. But Corey McFarlane will be licking his lips looking at that second place, and Zach Baker, currently in fourth, will be thinking, well, cripes, I might be on track for a podium here if Hans Brunswick behind me can keep Stenberg at bay, which is a big maybe because Stenberg is one hell of a driver. We're getting a good shot here of the two Warren's lines through the last corner.
Yeah, so it's tricky to find the right angle, but that is the line that Dayne took.
So he sort of stays inside the lines of almost like the outside pit lane there. But so does Ethan. Ethan is actually closer to the track than Dayne was.
Actually, we do have to go back through the live timing to see whether Dayne got a track cut on that occasion as well. He just maybe had one extra to burn.
But they were doing this all last race as well, and no one got a track cut penalty. So I'm...
And it's surprising that they're only 15 laps into this race, and he's managed to get it already.
Yeah, we're over halfway through this race. It's a short race, as we see another one for Ethan Warren. So... what is happening? AMS is very harsh. Once you've had a penalty, you don't get any more warnings. Every single infringement after that is another penalty.
Oops,
so
sorry.
So it looks like Ethan might have done the exact same thing again.
Yeah. No, that can't be it. Maybe it was at turn 1.
Because that was innocuous as heck, I would say. No, turn 1 looks fine. Goodness me.
Oh, was that it? No.
Surely not.
That's inside the bounds of the track. I'm
Surely.
not sure what's caused that one.
But then again, this track seems to defy logic, so... get the oil flags out, says Mr. Walshy in the chat. And the charge begins from It Is I as Aiden Sykes up into, well, down into 15th place.
Okay, so I can confirm that Dayne Warren got track cuts on 4 of his last 5 laps. So that one that we were looking at that Ethan got the penalty on, Dayne definitely got a track cut on that one as well. So he must be close to burning out of...
Well, Ethan just falling down the order now as he takes his drive through.
And he's got to do another one as well after that. So
Oof.
it's all gone backwards there. Corey McFarlane finds himself in 2nd place and Zach Baker in 3rd. So we're going to get some unique podium sitters.
Well, and Kurt Stenberg currently in 5th, just behind Hans Brunswick and Zach Baker. This is a very tight battle for that last podium spot. So can Hans Brunswick hold up the reigning champion Kurt Stenberg and almost gift Zach Baker a dream podium out of nowhere?
Been a quick recovery for Kurt after that incident. I suppose he didn't lose that much time in
He
it.
was able to dive straight into the pits, which helped a lot.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously Colin had to avoid cars and then... Ooh!
I thought Kurt had the move there, but Hans just kind of turned in on him there.
There
as
goes
we see
Ethan take his
his
second pit stop.
second drive-through penalty.
So Kurt can now set off after Zach Baker, but we saw Zach Baker is no slouch in the driver's seat. There are 6 laps left in this race. So can Zach Baker hold on?
Luke Rosello, one of the junior admins in this series, saying in the live chat, saying we thought we fixed that last corner curb glitch, but it seems to have just happened randomly. It was tested, and I don't doubt that at all, Luke Rosello. I don't remember this happening at all in the last time we raced here in 2020. I don't remember that. I thought in 2019 that was when the issue kind of seemed to happen, and this seems to be happening in a different way.
Well, no, actually, 2019 was the race that me and Floodman Michael Zalavari called here.
Yeah, and that's the one where it happened.
But then it happened when you and me were commentating as well, didn't it?
I thought there was another issue at the bend.
Okay. Maybe I'm thinking of that then. As Hans Brunswick actually coming back at Kurt Stenberg into turn 1.
Wow.
Good run down the start-finish straight, and Hans is actually going to come out in the lead out of turn 1. They're side by side going through the S's. Hans just got to stick it around the outside here at turn 4. Kurt's going to run him out of road, but Hans with he's come alive in this second race, and it's giving Zach Baker... No, wait, what's happened to Zach Baker? Zach Baker's DNF!
Oh no, what's happened there?
We missed that. When did that happen?
So this is now the battle for the podium.
No wonder Hans Brunswick's come alive. He's fighting for a 3rd place on the podium. Oh, that is cruel luck for Zach Baker.
I hope it wasn't that curb.
Oh no.
We keep watching this. Keep your eyes on this battle
Hans
there,
Brunswick
Madbert.
trying to go down the inside at the last corner. Kurt Stenberg defending for his life as it looks like he's going to be able to get some points back on one of the... Oh no! And they're both around! Hans into the back of Kurt, braking into turn 1.
What is going on? They both have to recover from the track.
That's a lot of damage. Alex Cattle is through and into 3rd place.
What? This could be a first podium for Alex Cattle. Let's see a replay. What happened here? They both were fighting hard. They knew this was for the podium. Oh, it was a mistake from Hans.
Hans did not brake early enough and just caught the back of Kurt.
Late on the brakes.
And a lot of damage for Hans. I'm not sure how much damage for Kurt, but...
Yeah, but well, can Kurt catch up to Alex Cattle? 3 seconds is the gap. Let's catch what happened to Zach Baker. This was a couple of laps ago now, and this was the reason they were fighting over the podium. Zach Baker, who at this time was in 3rd place, but has retired. He was under pressure. They were catching up to him, and it was another computer problem. Either a connection issue or a game crash, and that has unfortunately taken him out of what would have been his strongest finish of the year.
That would have been a richly deserved best result of 2022 for Zach Baker. He's deserved better than he's gotten so far this season, I think, and that's very harsh for that to be taken away. But this man here has been obviously doing very well this season as well, and currently on track for his first podium in ASC.
What drama.
Got 3 seconds ahead of Kurt Stenberg. I'm not sure what sort of damage Kurt Stenberg's carrying, but I reckon as long as Alex just keeps it on the track. He doesn't have to do quali times or anything. There's only 2 laps left in this race, so as long as he keeps it on the track, I don't think Kurt's going to be able to close down that 3 seconds.
He's been quicker, but only by a couple of tenths or so each sector. It's going to be touch and go, I think. I don't think Alex Cattle can breathe a sigh of relief until he comes across that line, because Kurt is going to be closing him down. And can you imagine the sweat on the steering wheel as Alex Cattle eyes his first podium in ASC? Dayne Warren's pretty much got this lined up. It was an 18-second lead over Corey McFarlane. And Corey McFarlane, all he has to do is keep it in a straight line to finish second, and that would be a terrific result after the way he started this race on the infield, well, this night I should say. In the first race he was on the infield recovering to the track, dropping all the way back to 17th place. He recovered to 5th in the first race, and now he's eyeing off a podium. But Alex Cattle, wow, what a night he has had. Very competitive, I should say, and I think he's outclassed his teammates tonight. And
it says something for consistency. You just got to be there, and you never know what's going to happen. Your 2 admins of your series can have an issue at the last corner.
It's the last lap for Alex Cattle.
Take each other out, and it must be said, Alex Cattle's teammate Brodie Steen, amazing drive up from last on the grid to begin with into 9th place at the moment. So. And
actually like faster than Kurt Stenberg on the previous lap, Alex Cattle.
Incredible.
Here comes Dayne. He's going to win this race. A terrific job that Dayne Warren has done all night, all season. And he is going to take a commanding lead of the championship into the next round in Winton. And here is Corey McFarlane. He is finishing second. It's a terrific result for the Master Foods car. And he picks up a huge amount of points for his second place. Here is Alex Cattle to score his maiden podium in ASC history. A terrific job keeping his nose clean when others were falling off the track and falling foul of technical issues. A terrific drive from him as Kurt Stenberg recovers to 4th place after an eventful race for him.
Yeah, definitely. Ethan ended up...
Look at that gaggle.
Oh, yeah. Hans Brunswick comes home ahead of Termo. He comes home in 6th, so excellent finish for Termo. Colin Warwick recovers to 7th after his drama at the last corner.
5th through 8th, covered by 2 seconds.
I think Hans had a lot of damage, so he was probably holding them up a little bit. It looks like Benjamin Dahlia stopped on track, so maybe ran out of fuel, but 8th place for him, 9th place for Brodie Steen.
Good job from Brodie.
Good result for the for 2 of the AWG drivers. Well, 3 of the AWG drivers, all in the top 10 and a podium. Lachlan Burke rounds out the top 10. And then we'll get Ben Hall, Cameron Parrott, Aidan Sykes.
13th from Aidan Sykes.
Up 1 from his qualifying position, which would be Ethan Warren DNFing. So, the charge never eventuated.
RSM Latino's technical issues didn't resume for the second race, so that's good. He managed to finish in the points, and then Kai Jones in 15th, and then Brandon Dostal in 16th. Brapp and Steve Warwick rounding out our finishes. The DNFs were Ethan Warren and Zach Baker, so that's a big hit to Ethan Warren's championship campaign.
Oh, I just feel so bad for Zach. That would have been I feel like the ZB guys haven't had the results they probably would have expected of themselves this season, and that would have been a nice bit of icing on what has been, a slightly underbaked cake. And a bake can be mushy or like raw inside, but if it's got a really nice chocolate icing.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Yeah, give it to me.
What are you talking about?
No idea. I feel bad for Zach.
Yeah.
That's the crux of it.
Oh, I feel like he's just had bad luck at times where he's had an opportunity to have a good result throughout his time in ASC.
And that wasn't even as a result of him. That was just his just connection.
Yeah, that's why I say bad luck, because I don't, it wasn't his fault.
Wasn't a skill error.
So we wait to see. I'm trying to remember who our first race podium sitters were, but all of the podium sitters that we saw tonight, we hope to be able to catch up with them shortly, Madbird.
Well, the Warrens, I reckon Colin Warwick in the first race, and then obviously Dayne, Corey, and Alex Cattle. Hopefully, we can get a word with Alex. Presumably excited.
Yeah, so Corey McFarlane, we haven't. I don't think we've spoken to Alex Cattle in a post-race it'll be good if he wants to catch up and we can see how excited he is about his about his podium finish?
Well, we had Brody with his first race win last season. He was pretty hyped up. So we got a bit of a trend of celebrating then Race on Oz, now AWG's firsts.
Yeah, you remember Brody Steen's comments after his race win? He said he was parking the bus. I think it was Kurt Stenberg he was fighting for that win, and he was trying to not let Kurt pass him. So no podium for Kurt tonight, so I'm not sure if we'll be chatting to him.
Oh my goodness.
That's unfortunate.
That doesn't happen very often, it must be said.
No,
that we don't talk to Kurt Stenberg. So, who was the third place getter in the first race?
Colin.
Was it Colin Warwick? Oh,
yeah,
Colin,
so it was Dayne from Ethan, and then Colin Warwick. Where I remember noticing that they were finishing in championship order, which was quite satisfying. Right. Far from championship order in that second race.
Must be said. As we've got a few of our podium getters hopping into the waiting room, so
no particular order. Jump in, guys, if you are keen for a chat. Oh, I crashed.
What? The automobilist on our other computer has become deceased.
It has become deceased. So, Madbird, what's your highlight of the night?
The battle, Hans Brunswick, Zach Baker, Lachlan Burke and Alex Cattle in the first race, that was pretty tasty and went on for quite a long time. So I was a pretty big fan of that, and it's good to see battling throughout the field. We often don't see a tight battle for the lead towards the end of the races, with Dayne Warren usually having the whole shot of it, but as long as we've got some good battling through the field to look at, that's the important thing. Stairs, I believe you have you have the fortunate and unfortunate Colin Warwick.
Yeah, Colin Warwick, who we saw battling for podium positions in both races, but what we believe is an unfortunate glitch with the track in that second race. Maybe we'll start with that, and then we can finish on the positive of your podium in the first race. Cole, what happened tonight?
Yeah, just that silly track glitch from previous years turned up again. We did test it throughout the week and it seemed to be fine, but as most things do, when it comes to the night, it stuffs up. So, but yeah, it was alright. It gave me a good opportunity to pass some people, which was fun. I enjoyed that aspect, but yeah, pretty disappointing. Probably would have got on the podium, but yeah, it's all good.
Good battle though between yourself and Kurt in the first race, and you managed to take the biscuits in the end on that one. How'd you find that battle throughout the first race?
Yeah, just like every other battle with Stanny, it's always respectful and very hard and fair, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. I knew I had a little bit of an advantage with the pitting. I think it was 2 laps later, so I knew I had that tiny little bit of an advantage, and my tyre life seemed to be a little bit stronger. But yeah, he was definitely keeping me honest, as he usually does. But yeah, no, that was good. It was good fun.
Absolutely. And then yeah, obviously unfortunate luck in that second race. That last curve seems to just throw up curveballs. Curveballs. No matter what it happens to be. So I'm sure you'll be back again next round. But congratulations on the podium in the first race at the very least, Cole.
Yeah, cheers, boys. No, it was good. Still enjoyed it.
Excellent. And then we've got we have our dual race winner, Dayne Warren, now becomes the driver to have won the last 4 races that we've had at Barbagallo. How did you find your night, Dayne? It looked as if you didn't have the start that your brother had on either occasion, and you sort of made it a little bit hard for yourself, but you seem to be able to fight it back.
Yeah. For some reason, I still have literally no idea. I cannot start this car to save myself. So yeah, that's still on the to-do list to sort out. But...
Oh no! Don't rush, because it sort of it gives.
It's employed to get his sponsors a bit more airtime.
We get to actually look at your race for a bit, so it's quite nice actually. But you in the second race, I noticed as well. You gave yourself a little bit of a penalty in the in the grid slot because you were very far back. Ethan was actually ahead of you in his pit box.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, the pit boxes here are quite I don't know what the term is, but they're not really staggered like iRacing is. So it's I mean, not making excuses, but it just sort of catches you off with how close P2 is to P1 going to turn 1, I guess.
Do you think that...
And being shocking at the starts doesn't help at all.
We Stairs suggested that maybe being on the evens side, on the outside, is actually an advantage around here, and it seemed like second and fourth were getting better starts than first and third. What do you reckon?
I didn't pay that much attention to it, but if I guess the racing line is on the outside as it is in real life, I guess it would be a bit better. Because it was shocking on the inside line. I did a few starts in practice and it was just zero grip, so it'd make me feel a bit better if that was the case, but no, honestly,
there might
can't
be
confirm
something to
it.
that, Mad Bird.
Yeah, you know, it's something to. Oh yeah, they need to change pole to the other side, do the whole end center.
The old end center.
Yeah.
But
well, there's the rubber in line versus the inside line. What do you prefer to be on? What would you prefer, Dayne? Would you have liked to have started on the other side?
I mean, it kind of depends who's in which position. If you've got someone that's sort of, I'm going to say Thomas McMillan on your inside going to 1, then then probably not. But
and we all understand what that means.
Yeah. No comment. But I think with like me and Ethan, then it's probably pretty even, or you know, the outside's probably a little bit better just because you don't want to send them off turn 1 up on.
Fair enough. Well, anyway, another almost faultless race round. Another faultless round from yourself, Dayne. 2 pole positions, 2 wins, and I'm sure 2 fastest laps. So I don't have that information.
We didn't check that, but I'm pretty sure.
But I'm pretty sure that's. I don't think it's controversial to say. So your incredible form continues. Well done, mate.
Thanks, guys.
No worries. And we've got a bunch of drivers in the waiting room, but none of them coming up there. So I'd like to have a chat with Corey McFarlane, but I don't know if he's coming up. Here he is, Corey McFarlane. So congratulations on second place in that second race, where you managed to keep out of trouble, and a great recovery drive from you in the first race as well.
Yeah, thanks. It was a good night. Bit frustrating at times, but yeah, I mean, good result in the end for, I think it was 6th or 5th in the first race, and then, yeah, definitely should have been 3rd in the second one. It was just a bit hit and miss with the off-track thing at the last corner, which was mega pain in the ass, but yeah, unlucky to Ethan. Definitely had the pace to be 2nd nor 1st.
Yeah, was that something that you had any issues with in practice, that curb, or was it just sort of in the race you saw that happening to people?
Yeah, I mean, I hopped on a couple nights ago just to check that the game all works, and it sort of went, well, this is a bit odd, the exit curb. But yeah, I didn't really do much, so until I got into the race over and kept picking up the off tracks, I was, yeah, pretty confused, because you could bounce right over the curb and come back on at the end of it, you wouldn't get one, but if you just put your left wheels on it, you seem to get one, so it was a bit hit and miss and had to be very careful with it.
Yeah, we were seeing that it was a bit inconsistent with some people, as you say, going all the way over and not being penalised and their laps still being counted, but people that just sort of dipped a tyre were getting their laps cut, so definitely something that needs to be looked at for next time out, but excellent recovery drive from yourself in the first race, as you said, up into 5th place. And again, a podium in the second race, you've got to be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, it's a lot more fun fighting from the back, and yeah, everyone was pretty clean to race with, and yeah, it was good fun to make some, what I like to think was a pretty big move, but yeah, it's just a lot more enjoyable, and definitely kept me a bit busy for 44 laps, which seemed to go for a fair long time.
Yeah, it's a lot of laps, but I guess they're short laps, so it all evens out in the end. But regardless, very, very good results from yourself tonight, Corey, and hopefully look forward to seeing you at everyone's favourite track, Winton, next time out.
Oh, hell yeah. Sure, that will be a lot of fun. Can't wait.
I'm going to choose to take that literally, Madbird.
Yeah, everyone loves Winton.
I personally think it's terrific from a spectator point of view, so I'm very much looking forward to that next round. Thank you, Corey, and thank you to all of the other podium sitters who joined us. Don't think we've got Ethan or Alex joining us tonight, but congratulations to them, Madbird.
Yep, yeah, it's nice to see some variety in that second race. Wish we'd gotten Alex Cattle. I reckon he's too busy doing a shoey, maybe with a $700 Daniel Ricciardo decanter.
Maybe he'll join us next week for after he's next round, which isn't for a few weeks, for a bit of
recovered.
He'll have had time to assess, but it's always nice seeing new people come through and get podiums. And Corey was one of those last year to win his first race in ASC, and so it's good to see a bit of variety. But we haven't had that much variety this year, with Dayne basically sweeping the field for this entire season.
This is Dayne, and the thing he's choking is the championship. He's got a chokehold.
Yeah.
He's got a stranglehold on the championship.
Normally people say they've got one hand on the championship.
One hand on the Premiership Cup.
But in this case, yes, it is a pretty strong hold he has on it, still with the maximum points available. But we'll see if that changes next round. Winton, it is not a driver's favourite. I've heard more than a few drivers say that they absolutely hate it. But it always, I mean, I don't know. I've been hyping this up because in 2019 we went to Winton and we saw some of the best racing that we've seen in this series.
And I won $10.
And we haven't managed to get back there for the last 3 years because of this unfortunate situation with the pandemic, but I'm very much looking forward to it, even if the drivers are. I hope we can get a full grid for that, because I think it's going to be mega. That is on the 23rd of May in 3 weeks' time, Madbird.
Looking forward to it. Put it in your calendars, and we hope to see you all again here in 3 weeks' time.
See you then. Bye for now.
Bye.